Hi, everybody. Welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 112. Jack and I are back.
That is what my doc says.
That is what mine says as well. Jack and I are back down in the basement to talk about a really slow week in the world of wrestling, right? There was no pay-per-views or anything, no drama outside of the ring or anything. Just kidding. It's like the craziest week. We had, 3 pay-per-views?
2 title vacations.
Of which, a bunch of suspensions.
I guess technically if you want to go to title unifications as well.
Some controversy, some people going to business for themselves, et cetera. So just to give you an idea, we will be this week going over AEW's All Out in depth. We'll take a look at AEW Dynamite in depth. We're going to talk about the aftermath. I'm sure will come up in the news, as I'm calling it, the All Out Fallout, right? Nice. I'm sure I'm not the only one to have used that phrase, but and then I think we'll hit to some of the... I watched this week, I watched NXT as well, so I can talk about a couple Highspots and Restholds from that, perhaps. We watched all of NXT Worlds Collide, right? We won't go in depth about it, but we did watch it. And we started to watch Clash at the Castle.
Oh, yeah.
We saw
I never finished it because I didn't want to.
We saw the opener and Sheamus Walter, which is what, by some accounts, is what the match you needed to see anyways.
Butch still be butching, and it sucks.
So yeah, we'll get into a lot of AEW stuff and a little bit of other stuff, I think, during this episode. The usual trivia segment will be in there. And do you have anything for figuring it out this week? I haven't asked you yet before.
I don't think so.
Doesn't look like it. So there may not be any new releases in Wrestling Figure World, so that might be on hold till next week. But there is a lot to discuss this week. Anyways, how was your week of school/job?
Fine.
That's it. Always so many details you give me on this podcast.
It was all right.
Yeah, so you're getting what, like 3-4 shifts a week, it seems, at work, which is good.
Yeah.
They're 4 or 5 hours, so not like you're putting in 8-hour days or anything. But yeah, and you seem to be not hating the job. When people ask me if you like it, I'm like, he comes home in a good mood, he doesn't complain, so I'm assuming the job's okay. And you're starting to meet people at work that you like, right? There's people of similar age to you and stuff. It can be fun, buddy. It can be a good job for you. So I'm glad you're not hating it. I don't know if you're enjoying it or not, but you're not. You're just waiting that first paycheck, eh?
Yeah.
Because you started in between pay periods, so you got to wait 3 weeks, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Before you get yours. Anything else exciting to discuss? I feel like we should get moving.
Morbius is on Netflix.
Is it?
Biggest news of the week.
Your favorite?
Yeah, I have it on Blu-ray too, so it doesn't
I know
really
you
matter,
do.
but...
I see it up there.
And also, my friend and I found some shark movies.
Oh God, here we go.
So
I'll drink coffee.
There's like a DVD bin at Walmart. We found like a 3-movie collection. So you got Sharkenstein, featuring a shark with the brain of an evil Nazi.
Makes sense.
And so it's basically like a Frankenstein shark with a Nazi brain. So it's Nazi shark.
Based on a true story.
Based on fact, yes. And then you have Raiders of the Lost Shark, which is perhaps one of the best movie titles ever.
It is good. That's a good title.
Where 4 friends go on a boat vacation, and in the water there's a shark with hate in its blood.
Oh no!
Which will eat any humans within a mile. So
that happens.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, hate in its blood.
Yep, that's the direct wording.
If the hate was in its pancreas, then not
okay.
a problem.
Yeah. And then the last one, the creme de la creme.
Yep.
Shark Exorcist.
Yep.
Where a demonic nun puts the spirit of Satan into a shark, and a priest has to fight them.
Nice.
So that's
so you know
awesome.
what, you told me all about that, and you know what else? I got to hear that from Nene's brother too, because he went home. I guess Nene went home and talked about the same thing with his older brother. So
nice.
Tyson was like, "We're weird. Did you hear they were talking about all these stupid shark movies?" I'm like, yes, I did. I heard all about it.
Oh, we came up with our own shark movies. It'll be a whole franchise. We're gonna go the Star Wars route, where you do like originals, prequels, sequels. So the first ones we came up with are, instead of doing Sharknado, you do Sharknami, which is our first one. Then Sharkquake, which is land sharks.
Yeah.
And then the finale of that trilogy is Sharkicane.
Well.
And then we got prequels and sequels and 2 spin-off shows.
Now that you've put that out there to our millions of podcast listeners, someone's going to steal your idea.
Or if anyone,
it's already in production.
Wants to invest, we're taking investors.
Somebody already has it in production now. Stole your intellectual property.
It's my intellectual property.
Put it up here on the... So, yeah.
I'll sue.
Coming off of that, I don't know, there's no segueing from that shark movie story. So I say we just get into talking about wrestling. You think we're ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get into our first segment where we talk about, nothing could have happened this week, right? In the world of wrestling news and rumors. taking a look at the ratings this week, we've got NXT, which featured, again, lots of sort of returning people. Averaged 684,000 viewers, which is up 1.18%. Earned a 0.16 in the key demographic, up 6.66%. Uh-oh. That's a scary number.
Bad.
Right? And this is the third highest total audience of the year so far, tied with a few other episodes for second highest key demographic. So I'm just sort of going off my memory, which sometimes shouldn't be trusted, but it seems like NXT, like week over week right now, is like a slow, steady increase of a couple percent, right? And I would have to say, I don't think it's quite at the level where I'm going to be like, Jack, we should start watching it again. But it was, like, in ring this week was actually
I refuse to watch it until they bring it back to what I want.
It's like, it seems to be inching towards being entertaining, or at least more of a combination of like established stars having really good matches and then some of the like whatever developmental people.
You gotta fix the aesthetic though, mainly.
Yeah,
like, it's just like
I don't
ugly.
disagree. But instead of it being non-stop like meaningless matches with inexperienced people, they're now sort of getting away from that and giving you some decent action on the show at least. So that's good. This week's episode of AE Dynamite coming off of...
Whoa.
What?
AE Dynamite?
So I did it?
You did.
Oh my God.
It's been so long.
It's been many, many episodes.
Uh-oh.
So it's their post All Out and post...
AE All Out?
Punk issues that we're going to talk about in a minute. So I'm sure there was
There was Punk issues?
I'm sure there was a bunch of intrigue for this show. So it was up 1.5%, which got them 1.035 million viewers. And earned a 0.38 in the key demo, which is up a healthy 8% this week. So this is the best Dynamite has been numbers they've seen since March 23rd. And again, no doubt, a lot of people showing up to see what was the fallout from the press conference after All Out was going to be. So, to segue into our first news story, go ahead.
Where are you doing it?
No, you do it. You just start talking and I'll just jump in, because I've listened to the entire press conference once and watched all of the pertinent highlights of it once.
Well, then you can probably explain it better.
So I'm pretty familiar. So basically, all right, I'll start out because you're just going to want to go on an angry rant at some point here. Mm-hmm. So press conference, I'm sure all of you are aware of this by now.
It was media scrum
almost a week ago. Sure, sorry, media scrum. And clearly CM Punk, and it is coming out that he sort of had this planned. Because
I misread it first as like it was all planned, and I was like, "What the?"
No, just Punk.
That Punk
because he didn't even take one question.
It makes a whole lot more sense.
He immediately singled out one journalist, quote unquote. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. There are journalists. Nick Hausman of, I believe he's from Wrestling Inc. And so
he used to
didn't even get to ask a question. And CM Punk tries to set him up for a gotcha moment by basically, he knows that. I guess Hausman used to do improv classes with Colt Cabana, right? So he sort of sets that up because he wants to get this reporter to admit that he's basically friends with Colt Cabana and then say, ha, right? Like, you're not a objective journalist. You've got bias, you've got friends, and you're leaking. But anyways, It backfired a little bit because Hausman was like, no, actually, yes, I did take improv classes with Colt Cabana. I forget what his actual name is. His shoot name, brother. But
I'm on Google.
It was Scott something.
I know, yeah, it is.
And he was basically like, I'm not friends with Colt Cabana. We don't actually see eye to eye.
Scott Colton.
There you go. I haven't talked to Colt Cabana in forever, whatever, right? So then basically all Punk clearly wanted to do was get Colt Cabana's name out there and then just rip on him for a while, right? And then rip on Adam Page, then rip on the EVPs, and basically saying they couldn't manage a target. Really not nice things to say about Adam Page in this rant, all while making it even more awkward is Tony Khan, right?
Right there.
Sitting right there, not shutting this down. It sort of sets the vibe of like the inmates are running the asylum here, right? Because he's running down your EVPs. He's running down one of your biggest stars. This is not part of an angle or anything, right? This is him just sort of spouting a rehearsed thing that he clearly wanted to get off of his chest for some reason. And so obviously this caused a lot of problem. There's reports that, well, I guess it's pretty much documented at this point, that the Young Bucks brought, I think, the head of the legal team with them to confront CM Punk after this, because Punk's always super tough and doing the whole, like, you can know where to find me, right? Come talk to me face to face, even though that's not his style.
Right.
As he
just
brings it to a public forum and rips them when they have no opportunity to respond, right? Because he is just the least self-aware person. Like, I've been sort of trying to be mild in my opinions of Punk. I'm sure if you're a regular listener, you've become aware that I'm not a big fan of Punk. And this is just sort of what I expected to happen at some point, because this is a miserable human being who is only looking out for himself, right? Is not worried about, as we hoped, the betterment of this company or just helping younger wrestlers. Nope, it's still all about Punk. And even when he's the top guy in your company with the top belt, he still gets his feelings hurt by people and feels the need to call them out in public and just take his ball and go home, right?
Right.
So yeah, basically there was some sort of brawl or altercation. Apparently,
didn't Matt take a punch?
Yeah,
Nick
where Matt
took a chair.
Yes,
Kenny
Matt
got bit by Ace Steel.
Apparently, all accounts are saying that Punk threw the first punch at Matt Jackson, and yes, Ace Steel's there, threw a chair at Nick Jackson, bit Kenny Omega. So
pulled his hair. Like, it's the most stupid. Like,
everybody involved has been suspended. If you had a title, you got stripped of it. So Punk
would have been stripped anyways,
right? Because he's injured and out for several months. Apparently, tricep tear, I think. Your brand new trios champions have been stripped of their championships as well.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. I think they could have, because at worst, what's a suspension? Probably a month. I probably would have kept it on them, but
yeah. And this is pretty much what I feared with Punk. I was hoping that he'd matured and with so much time out of the business had maybe
it seemed fine for a while.
But he's just this, in my opinion, only. Obviously, this is what you get with CM Punk, right?
Seems like it.
He is not a team player. He is out for himself. He's not particularly a nice person. And this is what you get. So I know Jack is super defensive because we're big Hangman Page fans.
Man, he came after my boy.
And by all accounts, Page seems like he is a decent human being. So
stupid.
I don't know. Thoughts? Opinions? I think my thoughts are kind of out there. This is CM Punk. You're only going to not get this version of Punk when everything is going his way. As long as you give this man everything he wants and let him do whatever he wants, he's happy, right? He's just so thin-skinned and so sensitive.
And it's like he's won the title twice now. It's like literally only Mox has done that. So it's just like, and he's still all pissy and like.
But Adam Page throws in one line in a promo as he's building to a match with Punk that most people probably didn't even pick up on, right? About the workers' rights stuff. And Punk just is his feelings.
Well, that would have been what, like
his
April or
fifis,
something?
Man, he's all up in his feelings about a guy saying one somewhat cryptic line,
and so he gets to go on a whole rant on a media scrum. It's like, it's so stupid. And like his side of the story is, the Elite kicked the door down and came barging in, and
they backtracked on that.
Yeah, like
they said, that was hyperbole.
Yeah, like hyperbole for what? Like,
but and so for me, Wei Ting on Post Wrestling, I was listening to them talk about it. He made a good point. I think I told you basically that regardless, when Page said what he said, in his mind, he was building towards a match, right?
Punk is just being a little...
And Punk is just has his feelings.
Yeah, like when he did it the first time, he literally just did it like, wasn't even planned. He literally just did it to be a tool.
Yeah, so knowing that Page wasn't there, they weren't even really involved in a story or an angle at that point, right? He just wanted to give his receipt to Page by challenging him, knowing he couldn't come out because he's not on the show that week, right? So it's just, I don't know, man. This is just par for the course with CM Punk, and it was just kind of waiting to see how long we get before this happens.
He needs to get out.
I don't think it's still out of the question.
No, I've heard it. The termination's still on the table, but he needs to get out. And I'd be surprised if Ace Steel keeps his job, because he was heavily involved in that, and like he's not as protected as Punk, I feel like might be. So, and
he's not even right about some of the stuff he says. Like when he's criticizing Page about never drawing a dime. I forget who I was reading.
Yeah, but like
was talking about how some of the pay-per-views headlined by Page did better than some of the ones headlined by Punk, right?
Right. And
so to say that Page isn't a draw,
all of Hangman's matches are way better.
It's just Punk, man. This is Punk doing Punk stuff, right? And to me, the big thing is like, you are the champion of the company. You are the face of the company, and you still can't be happy.
Right. And now it leaves a massive stain on AEW either way, like regardless of like the outcome.
It does beg that age-old question, right? There's no such thing as bad publicity. So this is getting them notoriety, right? And the internet is like on fire.
Now he's like screwed up everything, but it's and like of course you got to Hangman because he's a nice boy.
And Khan needs to rein this crap in.
He needs to get Punk out.
He looked like
bring that hammer down.
That scrum made him look bad, right? Because he's just sitting there watching this guy rip apart the key players of his company and doing nothing about it. It was really weird to see.
Yeah, he needs to kind of put his foot down and get Punk out. I need Punk out.
I wouldn't mind, right? Like
we got a year out of him. Stuff happened.
I can get behind a heel Punk. Like if you go heel Punk and let him do this, then it can be entertaining. But he's not supposed to be a heel right now, right? So this isn't.
I don't even really want
what
him.
he's supposed to be doing.
I don't care what he is. I don't really want him there anymore.
Just not a team player, right? Not a guy that you can build a company around.
No. To me, even before this, I never would have put the belt on him. But like, nah, it's just proven the point.
And let me tell you, all of this is making me a bigger fan of one of your boys, who I've always liked but never been a huge fan, and that's Moxley. Right, this guy is a professional. This guy.
He was supposed to take a couple weeks off after All Out, actually.
Right, like you can say whatever.
He stepped in.
He's not the greatest in-ring technician. Some people are critical, but he's like a cornerstone guy. Like you can have him.
That's how you build your company.
And you can count on him showing up. You can count on him putting other people over, right? If in matches, in promos, he's not trying to bury people. He's trying to raise everybody.
He's doing what Punk claimed to do.
Right, that Punk will never ever do.
Right,
and I
Moxley
don't think
actually
he's capable of doing.
He can hang in the ring.
It's too bad. CM Punk's a very intelligent guy. He's a very well-spoken guy. He could be doing things right, but he won't. He can't. He's worried about himself, and he's very, very sensitive guy.
Yeah.
So sorry, related to that then, I have that Fightful Select has reporting that there was a talent meeting before Dynamite this Wednesday, obviously without any of the suspended talent, and it was said to be a positive meeting that was led by Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, and Chris Jericho. With one AEW star saying that those three were the right people to try and boost morale. The report says that talent were encouraged to address any issues in-house, right? Like, don't do it in public. If you have an issue with somebody, be an adult and talk to them rather than do the opposite of what Punk does. Whatever Punk would do the opposite of that.
Exactly.
And we'll have a professional company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stop leaking to media outlets, etc., etc. And word going around is that Moxley, Danielson, and Jericho were all well received. So this is what I'm saying, right? These are the real leaders. These are the people you build your company around, not somebody like Punk who you're just wondering how long you can get before he goes rogue, right? Because that's how I felt this whole time, is how long are we going to get?
Basically a year.
Right, before he's unhappy, right? Because when he got there, it's like, wow, he looks so thrilled, and his love for wrestling and to be back, blah, 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 lasted a year. Now he's miserable. Right? It's just the way he is.
And now his beard's bigger, so he looks older too.
Any other news from you? I have two little nuggets after this.
Yeah, that was fantastic. So Dalton Castle is now a free agent.
I saw.
Contract with Ring of Honor expired, so
I wonder if he'll end up anywhere.
That's cool, I guess.
I like him, but I don't see anybody like tripping over themselves to sign him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like him.
It's like, what's Ring of Honor doing? It's like, oh no, nothing. You're gonna miss out on the next pay-per-view and nothing else.
Right, and no weekly show that they really need. They really do need to get that going. Because my fear is anytime they want to do a Ring of Honor pay-per-view, it sort of takes over Dynamite again, right? Because I didn't love that little phase where we were building to Ring of Honor card. But anyways, from the world of WWE, to shift gears, apparently there are no plans for Roman Reigns to lose the undisputed WWE Universal Championship at least this year. So from WrestlingNews.co, they are told by someone familiar with creative process, which, I mean, take that with a grain of salt, because that's a pretty like nebulous qualification, right? Like someone familiar with the creative process. What does that mean?
Like, I guess they've worked
Would
there
you
before.
Argue? Well, I mean, I could argue I've read enough news stories that I'm familiar with the creative process. It doesn't mean I've ever. Anyways,
That's true.
We'll hope that their source is a little more reliable. But anyways, nothing has changed. There are still no plans for Reigns to lose the title this year.
Rollins.
And when Reigns turned heel in 2020, the plan at that time was for him to be the champion until he eventually wrestled The Rock, and Vince actually wanted Reigns to retain the title, with the idea being, and apparently they're saying that it still is the idea, that Reigns will become a top babyface. So they basically want him on the level of Sammartino and Hulk Hogan eventually, is Vince's hope, which seems to be being carried over by Triple H at this point.
Babyface? What?
Yes.
Where's that coming from?
The ultimate goal, because that's where the money comes from, right? So if you can get him there and start selling a ton of merch, that's their hope.
How do you babyface him now?
I don't know. I mean, it would have to be.
The thing that made people like him was the Tribal Chief. Tribal Chief is not a babyface.
And if you're having him beat The Rock, I'm not sure how you get The Rock in a heel spot, right?
Not sure how you make that go over well.
Or I guess maybe after the match, respect, and that turns Reigns' face.
But then what? Does he go back to wearing a vest?
I don't know. But anyways, do you have anything else?
Yeah. Toxic Attraction wrestled Raquel and Leon SmackDown, they've been quietly moved to the main roster.
Goodbye. That will
no
help.
Mandy Rose.
That will improve NXT a little bit.
No Mandy as
to get them out of there.
Yeah, but it kind of bogs down the main roster.
Because their matches are, honestly, they had one this week, I think.
So
that makes sense, because they lost to Doudrop and Nikki ASH on NXT, which felt to me like this is like their goodbye tour, right? Put a few people over.
So it's better that they're on the main roster, or they stink up possibly pay-per-views.
But I don't watch that, so.
We watch pay-per-views.
Yeah, that's true.
No Mandy yet, so hopefully she loses the title soon, because I hate Mandy so much.
I don't know who she'd lose to, though, at this point. But
Satomura.
It could be, I guess.
Or literally just someone that doesn't suck.
Like Roxanne Perez, the match of the century on NXT this week.
Sorry, it?
No. It's in my Highspots and Restholds. I like the match, but man, people are talking about it like it's. Didn't you say something like the best women's match on NXT history or something?
I'm like, no,
it's not. It was a good and it'll come up again later. I might say the same thing, but better than the average NXT women's match? Yes. Like amazing standout match? No, but a entertaining match for sure. My last thing is just so that we couldn't have the AEW behind the scenes controversy all be involved with the men. Have you heard anything about what's going on in the women's division?
I have not.
Well, it's reported in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that while a lot of people believe she is not hurt, that Thunder Rosa is really dealing with a back injury, and that she stopped wrestling out of fear that she would need surgery if she kept working.
Why do they think that she's not injured?
Great question. So on his podcast, Conan has speculated that Thunder Rosa is not injured. His theory is that she's being quietly punished by AEW for something. And the reason he thinks this is because, according to him, her original report, I think to him, about her injury changed. Like, he's saying she started out saying it was like a knee injury, I think, or a leg injury, and now all of a sudden it's a back injury, so he's skeptical. You've also got, during the All Out media scrum, Toni Storm seemed to be like heavily implying that she believes Thunder Rosa isn't really injured either, and that there are people comparing Rosa to 1997 Shawn Michaels because basically she informed the company about her injury, right? Suddenly, hours after she was told she'd be dropping the title.
She's still going to drop the title eventually then.
But she keeps it for now, right? And maybe they change plans in the time. Like, I would love to believe. I don't want to believe anybody's faking an injury to avoid dropping a title. But
it wouldn't be the first time.
Right, and the fact that this is even out there isn't great. So
Did she lose her smile?
Exactly. So much stuff going on in AEW right now behind the scenes. Actually, not even behind. Like, a lot of this we're seeing in media scrums, right? So interesting times.
They should maybe not do media scrums.
Tony needs to get a tighter rein and sort of clamp down on these things, because I know this will get you publicity and attention, but I don't think you want to consistently be getting attention for
you don't want to keep riding negative.
Right, like just kind of it's out of control behind the sines. That's not a good look.
Yeah.
I am done in news. Do you have anything else?
One more. I think WWE might be teasing. I saw that it might be teasing Baszler and Rousey as a tag team.
They'd be a killer tag team.
Then who beats them?
Book them that way. I know, right?
And so Rousey's also facing Liv at Extreme Rules again.
Yep.
I don't like Rousey that much, but I swear to God, if Liv beats Ronda Rousey 3 times, I'm gonna shoot.
All accounts, it seems like Liv is one of the weakest booked champions.
Liv is one of the worst champions I've ever seen, and I didn't even watch the Baszler match because Baszler didn't win, and that's offensive.
That's why you shut down on the Clash at the Castle. I didn't really
care to.
I heard it was a really good pay-per-view.
I heard Roman and Drew was good, but I just don't care.
I don't either, right? Like, even I've listened to people go, it was a really, really fun and not super long pay-per-view.
And I like Drew. I think,
and I'm still like, eh.
I mean, I'm not that interested in him, but I think Drew's great.
I'm glad we watched Sheamus Walter. That was dope. But
and I think Drew's great. But I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get more into WWE, but I'm still kind of just on the periphery, not caring super much. I can't
finish. And AEW's pay-per-view is probably way longer. So
very much longer.
There's that.
Yeah.
All right. We watched it all in one night too, right?
Yep.
So suck at WWE, I guess.
Speaking of the AEW pay-per-view, I suppose we should transition into talking about that now. So we'll go into a pretty detailed review about last Sunday's AEW All Out. All right, so All Out, a lot of matches. I'm not going to dwell too much on the, what was it called? The 0 Hour?
Right.
So notable things from 0 Hour.
Kip Sabian has a new theme. His old theme is better.
Kip Sabian lost in his sort of return match, which can't be good for him. No offense to you being a Kip Sabian lover. the match was kind of weird. He looked kind of cool through stretches, and then there were awkward stretches where not a ton was happening. But anyways, best match was easily Ishii Kingston. Could have easily been on the main card, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's just it kind of, I get why it wasn't.
Yeah, there was no
build.
It was
just thrown out.
Yeah, absolute just slugfest, super physical, fun match. The only other real notable thing was I was suspicious in the moment, and it was confirmed that Ruby Soho got her face broken, right, by I think it was the Thai KO.
And Sammy got golf carted again.
He did. Yeah, that was actually kind of funny. He shoved Thai Mello out of the way and then got run over by the golf cart again. So yeah, Soho got her nose broken. Looked like really solid contact, and she was selling it, quote unquote, really, really well because it actually happened. But yeah, so moving on to All Out proper main show. We started out with the casino ladder match. Not a surprise as the opening match, right? So this is funny because we're going back to I took pretty good notes on this, but it's almost a week ago, so it's like jogging my memory on what I thought about it. But this was a bit of a mess early on, right? I thought so.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so you had Andrade and Rush kind of looking stupid here. They're setting up a ladder before climbing up to go after the chip. Remember, they
the ladder bridge.
Set up a ladder bridge to the ropes,
which is fine because that happens a lot.
But not if you're just gonna climb up and grab the chip. Why are you wasting time?
It's not like you're setting up someone to.
Right. You could have just not
logically
done that.
You do that before the spot.
You go up and get the chip and don't worry about anything else. But anyways, there's ladders in the way at one point. Claudio and Andrade have to use plan B in a ladder spot because there was something in the way. I know
it was kind of cool though. Like
it was a nice recovery actually.
It was unique,
but they had to switch it up. Then things sort of picked up for me when Penta got in. He hits a destroyer to Dante Martin on the ramp right away. Right?
Oh wait, no, yeah. I thought you were talking about the one on the ladder.
Then a destroyer to Andrade on a ladder. Phoenix hits a frog splash through a table on the floor. Then, approaching the end of this, a group of hooded figures show up.
It's Retribution.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my first thought. I was like,
no,
it's Retribution again.
Of all the groups to sign.
Of all the...
Yeah. So they clear the ring. One of them climbs up the ladder and grabs the chip.
We saw like a bit of black skin, so we thought it was Scorp.
Yeah, it's like a black hand. Who is that?
I was like...
Yeah,
I thought it was Scorpio.
They reveal themselves to be Stokely Hathaway and all of the guys
Morrissey, Lee Moriarty, Ethan Page, Guns. I think that's it, right?
That's it. And so he's been giving them his business card over the past few
weeks. So which
is
the payoff we thought we would get. So I was surprised it came here, though. I was actually like, what's happening? Then I was like,
Hathaway the Joker, but it wasn't time for the Joker, so it was
the Joker comes out to Sympathy for the Devil.
And I'm going to take some credit here. The second he entered the ring, the way he went through the ropes, I was like, that's MJF.
I thought the masks were kind of cool.
It was cool.
I liked the look.
As soon as the way he went through the ropes, I knew it was MJF, and the size matched, right? So anyways, someone dressed in black wearing it was kind of a cool mask. He comes to the ring, and Hathaway just hands him the Joker chip to end the match after 13 minutes. And the Joker then sort of looks in the camera like he's going to reveal the mask, but doesn't. And this new faction of people that we know other than
the boys
who the Joker is, they end up leaving.
And it was weird because we didn't see any affiliation between MJF and them later on Dynamite.
None. That's going to come up a couple times for me because he never acknowledged them. They never acknowledged him later, right? It was kind of weird.
Maybe next week. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't think there was a couple cool spots in this. I don't think it was an amazing ladder match, but I guess it was probably one of those more about the angle to end, which was kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, it was an alright match. It is at least unique with that finish.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that. I thought it was a solid start because it was pretty fun. Like other than like some of the weird bits.
Stuff at the beginning, I was like not impressed.
I think it figured itself out.
Yeah.
So
that's a nice way to say it.
I think it got better. I think it was pretty like entertaining at times, especially when Penta came in, like you said. So. And like I liked the news. Like I was legitimately like on the edge of my seat, as they say, when the group came in, because I was like confused. I was like, what the hell is happening? Like, so I think that was a really cool finish because it was kind of like had me like I was definitely like paying attention.
And
you know what I mean? Like
apparently a lot of people were super mad because they thought this was it and we weren't going to find out who the Joker was. Right? They got all bent out of shape right away, which is the beauty of social media. You can just rant and rave right away and not even before you actually
that's what I thought. I was surprised that I thought it was going to be on Dynamite.
Yeah. So it was a 13-minute match. It was okay. Like I don't think it was an amazing ladder match, but it held my interest, and the angle at the end was interesting for me at least too. Then things pick up significantly here because we get the trios tournament final match, which is
now rendered ineffective.
Right now, sort of doesn't matter, but it was the Elite, which is the Young Bucks and Kenneth Omega taking on Dark Order, which was Hangman Page and Silver and Reynolds.
Yes.
Yes, right. So early on in this, Page and Omega face off, and the crowd, just a lot of energy around that matchup even. But Silver, interestingly, sort of blind tags himself to ruin that moment, right? Which is something I just picked up on early on. I kind of like that story being told a little bit. So then Page blind tags himself back in a little bit later, and he and Silver even have words briefly, right? So it's almost like there's a bit of an issue, and it would kind of play into the finish of this a little bit. So things then get crazy, and we just get a super fun trios match that breaks out, as we've seen for the vast majority of this tournament. That has been pretty awesome, I would say. I thought Silver looked really great. He did that spot where he runs around ringside, sort of taking everybody out. But at one point, he runs into a punt from Nick Jackson on the apron to stop that very suddenly. Really nice sequence in the ring for Silver, as well as a great sequence of double teaming with Reynolds that they need to sort of name that sequence, I feel like, at this point.
Oh, yeah.
Because they consistently do it, and it looks great.
It's like the stunner to the German.
Yeah. A rare commentary note for me. Do you remember this? Taz said to Tony Schiavone, "I'm Taz." That's the third time, Tony.
Yeah.
He called him Excalibur 3 times.
Yeah. I remember that. That was
kind of interesting. Page and Omega end up face to face again, and the crowd is now going nuts at this point. We get some intense action from Page and Omega. Awesome Tiger Driver by Kenny to Page. Follow 8 moonsault slam by Page to Omega. Buckshot lariat to the back of Kenny's neck. A second buckshot is missed. Nick hits his own buckshot, which actually looked really good, to Hangman Page before a BTE trigger. That's a near fall as Reynolds gets there just to break up that pinfall attempt. John Silver counters the one-winged angel into a roll-up for a near fall here. Kenny then ducks a buckshot, takes out Silver. The buckshot ends up taking out Silver, right? So now you've got Omega accidentally taking out one of his teammates, and Omega ends up pinning Silver.
And they kind of held Hangman right there. It was kind of cool.
As Nick is stopping anyone from breaking the fall. So this was a 20-minute match, and your trios champions, although very briefly, your first trios champions are the Elite. Thoughts?
Yeah, I thought this was awesome. It was probably my favorite match of the night, I think. I thought it was really good. Another one, it's just action all over the place, and I love it. Silver and Reynolds, I love that combination. I thought the Bucks had a lot of great stuff here. I thought some of the Elite stuff was awesome, especially towards the end. A lot of the near falls I thought were really good. It was I'm glad I finally didn't have to take notes for one.
Yeah, it's true.
I would definitely want to watch this again because honestly, it's been a week now, and I'd like to remember it better.
And I like the subtle story too of that Hangman Page is added, and that's supposed to be an upgrade, but there ends up being miscommunications, and he ends up hitting his move on Silver, right? So
I love the finish, actually.
He didn't help them. He actually hindered them, which is a kind of an interesting
I love the
detail,
finish. I thought that was really good, and I like that, they held Hangman there, and he kind of watch the titles slip away.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I thought that was really well done.
Excellent trios match. Pretty much what you'd expect from these teams in this tournament, right? I don't think this was my favorite match from the tournament, but that's a really high bar, right? So
my favorite one was United Empire Death Triangle.
I think so too, right? But this was still excellent, great action and near falls. And again, those clear issues between Page and the rest of Dark Order, or maybe specifically Silver.
I don't think it'll amount to anything. So I think Dark Order's pretty
It may not, but it
unchanged.
Could be one of those breadcrumbs, right? It seems like they leave these options that if they need to come back to it later, they can.
I don't want them to.
I know, but they could, is all I'm saying. So we knew this tournament coming into it was built for the Elite. Khan even said in interviews, the trios belts are coming for Kenny Omega, right? So the outcome of this was never really in doubt. But the matches we got along the way,
Omega's ring gear was sweet.
Yeah, and it's just a unique thing to AEW at this point, right? I love trios matches, and this is the only place I'm getting them. So I am thrilled by this great match. Probably my match of the show.
I think it was.
In my top 2 anyways. So my notes on all the segments in between are minimal. So I have, you might be able to elaborate because you tend to remember better. Athena cut a decent promo on Jade Cargill? ?
Oh yeah, they were just showing I think it was a Rampage thing. with her and Cargill, and it was actually pretty good. I literally said to you, like, that was pretty good for Athena.
Anything above cringing when Athena speaks is pretty good for her, right?
Yeah,
she's atrocious.
It was like pretty serious. It was like she was more serious. It was pretty good. Like I thought it was well done for her, especially.
Yeah, for her. Then we get that match, so it's Athena challenging Jade Cargill for
challenging She-Hulk,
the TBS Championship, right? Which I heard they couldn't actually say because that's not one of their properties, right? So even though that's clearly the look she was going for, they could never point that out.
No, which I don't know why they need to. Because like people do comic book attires all the time. But
I
wouldn't cool.
I wouldn't have known if you didn't tell me.
Oh,
for example.
But she was green.
I'm also colorblind, so
that's true. So she had some like green paint on her like legs and part of her face.
I literally didn't even know that until you told me that right now. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Wow. And she had like
look that up.
A longer.
I didn't notice.
She had like a longer wig or hair extensions, which I thought was honestly the weirdest part of it.
Yeah.
Because like her hair's, and then she had like a one piece because it actually looks like, I think it looks like almost exactly like She-Hulk's comic book look.
Yeah.
Obviously not from the show.
Clearly,
but it's still topical, I guess.
Clearly, I missed all that.
But it looked pretty cool. I thought it was really cool. I like that. Yeah, it was cool. I haven't watched the show actually. I watched the first episode and then I just kind of dipped.
Athena's on fire early in this one. She hits the Eclipse in the first few minutes, and you're like, "What?
What did they call it? Wasn't it something stupid?"
Yeah, I can't remember what it was. But the baddies are kind of late to pull Jade out, but it's still, the pin is broken up. Athena then gets some offense in before Jade takes over and actually wins pretty quickly. Pop-up Samoan drop, kip up, and spear by Jade somewhere along the way. Eventually, she hits Jaded, and it's over.
Which looked pretty good this time, actually. I thought it was like kind of a snap. Like, she kind of just, I don't know, went down fast.
I agree. This was about 4 minutes. What did you think? What can you think about?
It was 4
match?
minutes? Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 7.
No, it was quick.
It was alright. I thought it was solid but this is like your payoff, I guess. Like, it was just kind of weird. I could see another match happening, but like we waited all this time for this. It's a little disappointing.
And considering when Athena arrived, I was like, they could actually build her into a credible opponent.
Wasn't
and
it like maybe
beat
Double
Jade.
or Nothing or something? Or did she come at Revolution?
I can't remember.
I'll check actually.
But now it's like, nope, you're just another like 5-minute match for Jade. So I don't know. For me, it felt like the match was just starting to get going, and then she picked up the decisive win. So she being Jade here. So I guess with so many matches on this card, I think there was 15 matches, including the pre-show.
Yeah, it was at Double or Nothing, so it would have been in the spring.
Right. So
they were pretty much involved with each other from the off.
Right. And then this is what you get, right? So it's kind of a strange decision, maybe. So with that many matches scheduled, I guess some of them need to be short. That would explain the very fast start of Athena.
But then, like,
she got in her little bit, and then it's like, okay, that's all you get.
Then, like, just take some off and like make a TV supercard kind of thing.
This didn't need
which
to be,
they've done before.
This didn't need to be on a pay-per-view, correct?
No, this could be like a women's match on TV with a longer time. Obviously, don't make a 4-minute match either. And then like this would have been like a serviceable women's match like for the week, considering we get Kylan King sometimes.
We do. It's probably not a bad idea to keep Jade matches short at this point because she's still not a ring general.
But I mean, I'd like to see them try.
But yeah, bottom line, this didn't feel like a pay-per-view match to me, and I don't think it does Athena any favors here, right? Like, she got a couple minutes of offense, and that's it.
I mean, I guess getting squashed by Jade isn't unique to her, but still.
True. I don't know what this means, but I said Punk and Steel talk to Marvez, and Jack hates it.
Oh, yeah, because Punk's a little
But already?
biatch.
But you were not mad at him at that point.
Nope, but I'm just saying
I don't remember what, but I would have written Jack hates it for some specific reason.
Why did
I was hoping that would trigger my
something
memory.
really babyface, I think.
Was it?
He had his dog too.
Larry.
What was it?
I should have made more details.
Let me see if I can find it.
But anyways, so then we get the Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal taking on FTR and Wardlow, and I guess another trios match technically. Sanjay Dutt was wearing a Fight Like an 8-year-old Brat t-shirt, referring to the Dax Harwood promo, talking about his own daughter. To be honest, I wasn't into the very first few minutes of this. I thought there was just an intensity was sort of lacking, and the tag rules were being followed in a trios match, which is a bit of a departure, right? So Dax was actually isolated for quite a while here by the heel team. It's weird to say heel team because I watch Motor City Machine Guns all the time in Impact and they're not heels, but so it's a little bit of a disconnect for me, but that's okay. The crowd I didn't find was super into this. We do get a sweet, gory special by Cash, as the pace kind of picks up when Cash tags in here, somewhat ironically. I usually find Dax is the one where that happens, but this week it's Cash. Cash then gets isolated. The heels start attacking his legs. Wardlow tags in, obviously overpowers all the heels easily. We get spine busters and an F10 along the way. Then Satnam punches Wardlow.
I can't find it.
Leads to a near fall. FTR get taken out, and the heels triple team Wardlow for a little bit here. We get a Liger bomb to Shelley, big rig to Sabin, lethal injection to both members of FTR. Wardlow powerbomb to Lethal, then another, and another, and this match is over in 15 minutes. So the heels, with Satnam Singh, look to get into the ring after, but Samoa Joe is back, so he comes out, and the heels end up leaving. Dutt unfortunately gets thrown into the ring, and Dax's daughter comes out and breaks his pencil. I don't remember if she did anything else, but she gets her
She should fight
revenge.
Brody.
So I don't know. I thought this was obviously a very different trios match from the one earlier tonight and from most AEW. This one played out more like a traditional tag team match, right? I felt.
Which they do sometimes.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm not saying even as a complaint. Like, I don't mind having a range of matches. Fewer breakdowns in this, fewer high spots than the usual trios match, but I still thought it was a fine match. Not up to FTR's 2022 standards for me here. The lackluster build may be partly responsible. So I thought it was a solid match, but beneath what we expect from AEW pay-per-views at this point, I thought. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought FTR and Machine Guns were definitely highlights. I
Yes.
think some of the stuff Machine Guns did was cool.
Yep.
I'd like to see them back even just to face FTR.
I was telling you, they're so ahead of their time. Like, their style still fits today, and they've been doing that for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'd like to see them. I don't know. If they came back, that'd be cool.
Yep.
So this is solid. Yeah, definitely. Like, it was different. At least it is different, I guess, because that's better than like saying like, oh, this was really similar to.
Yeah. No, I don't
At
have a
least it's a
problem with it
variety.
being different.
It definitely felt like more like a tag team
Yes.
match with 6 people rather
Yes.
than a trios match.
I agree.
And more like a WWE one that way, not like where I didn't like it, just where it's like
Different.
less like a trios
Yeah.
match. So it was good. Like you said, the lackluster build kind of makes this a little less interesting, but it was solid. I still wish FTR had something better to do on this.
Me too. They're bigger than this right now, in my opinion. But we then get a Starks-Hobb package I made no notes about, and then that leads us to what I found to be a surprising match, and that was Ricky Starks taking on his former partner and friend, Powerhouse Hobbs. So Starks starts out on fire here, really selling that he's just furious with Hobbs, right? Been betrayed by this guy, so that was nice. But Hobbs, as you would expect, his immense power eventually takes over this match. And then Hobbs is like what I called methodical, but still dominating, right? He's just slowly moving forward and hitting big moves to Starks, targeting Starks' neck as well, just to add a little bit more. This is one of your former best friends. You know he has lingering neck issues, and you're still targeting that, right? Just to really get that heel mode activated. Starks fights back briefly, but this is what shocks me. Just runs into a huge, it did look good, spinebuster. And Hobbs pins Starks after like 5 minutes, right? Thoughts on this? I was very surprised.
I mean, I thought it was solid for what it was, but I'm surprised it ended that quick. I guess like this keeps you in anticipation for Starks to get his.
I would think it can't be
to quote
over.
Andy Bernard, delicious moment.
Right.
So I guess eventually that'll happen. Maybe we get like a match with a better stipulation, but I would prefer that to be here and then maybe just cut. I think this like. For a match with no titles or anything, I think this did deserve to be here.
Yes, I agree.
And I think it deserved to be something more.
Yes.
I didn't hate it,
be.
and I think it was solid. But I think this specifically deserved to be more.
Yeah.
And I hope we get more of the feud because I think it's pretty open, and I don't think anyone's injured in this case.
No, I think we're gonna get more. You should be pulling up our predictions too, right?
I should do that.
So I was surprised here because I was really confident that Starks would win. It just seems like he's the one getting the big push right now, and that still may be the case, right? This, as you're saying, is probably not over. I never thought he would lose so quickly and decisively if he did lose. The crowd was clearly caught by surprise too. I don't think they really responded to the finish too much here. It does help establish Hobbs and his spinebuster, because Shivani really was kind of going overboard to praise that move. It seems like they're going to have to run this back, right, and have Starks get a win as well, or he comes away from this looking bad, if not. So the match was fine, and again, you've got 15 matches to get through on this show.
Beat Ishii?
Kingston did beat Ishii, yes, so they're at 1-1 now. The match was fine, but for me, too short to get super excited about, right? But again, we don't want this pay-per-view to be 6 hours. You got to have some short matches, I guess, and they found a way to do that
I
here.
guess so.
We then get a Swerve and Lee Acclaimed segment going back and forth here ahead of their match, which is the Acclaimed versus Swerve and Lee for the AEW Tag Team Championship. So the crowd right away has changed Keith Lee's chant to "Oh, scissor me, daddy," right early on, instead of a bask in my glory. And the crowd seems to have turned on the champions here because they have adopted the Acclaimed and love them and will accept nothing less than an Acclaimed victory in this match. Unfortunately, not going to get it.
And the champs are pseudo heels for some reason.
I'm going to talk about that at the end because I have maybe an interesting thought, or a thought at least. We get a nice diving cutter by Caster here early on. Bowens with the only real mistake I saw here. Remember, he kind of slipped off the ropes early on here. Swerve mocks Billy Gunn with a crotch chop, where I was like, the champs are sort of leaning into this heel persona right now, right? Which is smart. If they clearly see the crowd as baby facing one team over the other, then it makes sense to sort of play into it, right? Commentary are putting the Acclaimed over as baby faces really hard here, so I thought that was a bit confusing because it's like going into this we have two baby face teams, and it's like within this match we're having sort of a shift in that dynamic. Blockbuster to Lee by Bowens. The action then picks up, right? We get a double suplex to Lee. That leads to an immediate top rope double stomp by Swerve for a 2 count, and a nice single leg crab by Bowens. Missile kick to Swerve's head by Caster, with a really nice sell job by Swerve off of that. We get a house call to Caster for 2. Mic drop to Swerve, who's stretched out from the apron and held by Bowens on the floor there. Billy and Keith Lee talk. Caster hits a Death Valley driver to Keith Lee, which is pretty impressive. We get the arrival from Bowens, the mic drop from Caster, and Lee just barely makes the save, breaks up that pinfall. We get a Swerve Death Valley driver to Caster on the apron. Bowens gets a near fall after ducking a kick from Swerve that actually connected with Keith Lee. And lots of crazy action. We end up with a top rope stomp powerbomb combo by the champions. They retain their titles after 20 minutes. The crowd is not happy. They want the Acclaimed. We get respect shown by Lee and Swerve. So again, this is a bit strange because they did kind of lean in, especially Swerve leaned in to being a heel in this match, right? But then they're like shaking hands and showing respect after the match. So
it was clearly impromptu.
And commentary struggled to explain that fact as well, right? So I think our thoughts are kind of different on this match. So what are yours?
I thought it was a little boring in the early stages because like
first few minutes, not a fan.
It felt too slow. It just like didn't feel right. I thought it did definitely picked up, and I like some of the near fall sorts. And I think the Acclaimed hit their stride a bit in here, and then I think the champs did a good job too. Like I love their finisher so much; it's so good.
It is.
And so I thought everyone did a good job. Like I think once it picked up, it was really good, but it also felt a little slightly disjointed just because, like you said, the crowd dynamic was really weird.
It was.
So that kind of affected the match a bit, but I thought like it really picked up. So I thought it was pretty good by the end, and definitely better than the short matches.
Yes.
Because this got decent time. I wish like it had started out just as strongly, and then I would have liked it a lot better, but I still think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I ended up loving this match, and I would actually have to think about if I like this or the trios match better. I don't know. I just got super into this match. Like you, the first few minutes, I wasn't that into. The action was kind of basic.
I was almost like, can this just end?
Right. The action was kind of basic, and the crowd was annoying me. Although the babyface dynamic can partly to blame for that. Then things just got super engaging for me. The crowd settled in and started to, I thought, enjoy the match rather than trying to amuse themselves, right? So they definitely adopted the Acclaimed. By the end, I thought this match was awesome. The crowd ended up making the Acclaimed feel like major stars here, right? Like this was a star-making performance for these guys. The energy of the crowd for all of the near falls was awesome. Terrific tag team match. Again, star-making performance for the Acclaimed and a really solid defense for Swerve and Lee. For me, this match helped the show recover from a bit of a lull that they'd hit here, right? After the trios match, there was a bit of a lull. So this, for me, I thought this match was fantastic. We're going to get a rematch as well.
At Grand Slam, they could win the titles, but I feel like that just sets back FTR.
Yes.
So
I don't know what. You got to sort of strike while the iron's hot with the Acclaimed, right? But what do you do with them? Or you put them in a feud with FTR, but you've just babyfaced the Acclaimed. So, right, it's awkward. But anyways, so Swerve, we talked about, seemed to be embracing the heel role. Do you think it's possible? And I'm interested. I don't know if they will. Could you do a tag team where one guy's a face and one guy's a heel?
They almost did that with Blackpool Comic Club, and then
Yes.
they just. But
I thought
that's
they were.
a different concept. So
It's
I
interesting
don't
to me.
think so.
I don't know if you can pull it off or not.
The only time Lee was heel that I remember is
I don't know if I see him as a believable heel.
That's my thing. The only time I remember he was is do you remember?
No.
Bearcat.
Yeah, why would I remember that?
Yeah.
I've suppressed that memory. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Fantastic match, I thought, kind of tucked in the middle of this show here.
Mm-hmm.
We then get a recap of the Thunder Rosa situation, the interim title creation leading to this match, which is a 4-way for, excuse me, the interim.
The AEW Interim Women's World Championship, is that a mouthful?
Correct.
I don't know.
Jamie Hayter versus Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida versus Toni Storm. The crowd has decided, much like they decided the Acclaim should win, that Jamie Hayter should win. Also, I've become a Hayter fan. I was hoping she would win this, so I was on board with the crowd here.
I hate her.
We get a near fall parade and a submission festival early on in this one. That was my very much summary of that. Then Hayter with a nice sequence while dominating Storm and Shida for a little bit. Shida and Storm end up alone in the ring and have a nice sequence before Rebel gets involved and takes a double headbutt. Baker and Hayter work together to take out Shida on the ramp. Hayter chokes Storm with tape as the ref is checking on Shida. Baker and Hayter team up on Storm and Shida, with Shida out, including a double suplex here. Shida finally comes back with kendo sticks attacking the heels. Snap suplex by Shida to Britt sends Baker into Hayter in the corner. The heels double pin of Shida is broken up by Toni Storm. We get one of those yay boo strike exchanges in the middle of the ring. Then a bunch of big moves leading to pinning predicaments for each woman, including a tombstone by Hayter that looked pretty nice. Hayter basically has Shida beaten here with a ripcord lariat, but Brittany pulls the referee out of the ring. Storm then spike pile drives Hayter. Baker tries to steal the pin, but Hayter kicks out, so that's going to further the tension between Hayter and Baker, I would assume, right?
Which was a while ago, and now that's like kind of...
It's a nice little thread they're starting to pull on again, right?
I guess they breadcrumbed it.
Yes. DDT by Storm for Britt Baker, then Hayter and Storm pin... Sorry, what is this? This is my note. DDT by Storm, then Hayter and Storm pins Hayter. That doesn't make sense. Storm pins Hayter. That part is true. She wins and wins the interim championship after 14 minutes.
I noticed when she was holding the title on Dynamite, it looked weird. Like, it just, like, the way the belt bent.
Bent?
Yeah.
I, for one, enjoyed this match. I love that the crowd adopted Hayter, because I kind of have too. I thought she looked pretty good in this. Loads of frantic action and near falls. No real mistakes by anybody, I didn't think. Shida was good in this, but she never felt like a contender. She's been invisible, right, for months. So throwing her in here, I didn't think added anything really, even though I like Shida. I'm just hoping Storm's run can be more interesting than Thunder Rosa's, because even though Rosa was the one I thought should beat Baker, her run has been
it's
lackluster, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that Storm did enough in this to come across as like head and shoulders better than everybody. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a dominant performance for her, or a star-making performance. It was just another Toni Storm match. The company has talented women. They just need to do a better job of writing for them. So I like this match. I don't think it was amazing, but it held my interest and I enjoyed it. You?
Yeah, there was solid action. I thought it was solid. Everyone did a good job, and like I think I agree that Shida is allowed to place her just because like she's been so irrelevant compared to the rest of them.
And why did you feel the need it had to be 4 people? Like what's wrong with 3?
I guess then
I don't know.
Dark.
Right.
I guess. And I like the dynamic with Hayter and Baker, so it kind of plays out like a tag team match for Ben, and like the dissension kind of eventually comes through, and so I like that because that's some storyline material there, like a non-title.
And now that Hayter's been elevated, the whole Hayter Britt Baker thing would be way more interesting
than it was before.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember before, like I don't really.
Yeah, Hayter's just there as muscle and doesn't really do much, but now I like her.
Yeah, so I think all around it was pretty good. Like not my favorite match or anything, but I thought it was pretty solid.
Me too. We then get Jungle Boy promo. He's mad at Christian. That's my summary of that one. And we get that match, which also was a little bit of a surprise because before this even gets started, Luchasaurus comes out as we sort of anticipated here that he might not be done with Christian, right? We've been saying that for weeks. So he choke slams Jungle Boy on the steel part of the stage, and his back is immediately like he just had marks up and down his back from this spot. So that just added to the whole scene here. And they're sort of introducing this idea that it's not Jungle Boy, it's going to be Jack Perry going forward, which I think is a good move because you can only be Jungle Boy for so long. You know what I mean? I find that.
Well, he was Jungle Boy Jack Perry here for realsies. JR
right,
finally got it right after years.
JR was early to that party. For
a little too early.
But yeah, I found Jungle Boy name is going to put a ceiling on what he can do, right? Because it's kind of ridiculous. So I think that's going to help him. Anyways, Luchasaurus picks up Jungle Boy's carcass, carries him to the ring. And
you put him to the table too?
Did he? I don't remember. I didn't make a note of it.
Ringside table, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he does. He throws Jungle Boy through a table right in front of his own family, right? And actually, the crowd cheered a little bit just because I think it was a cool spot. So not the reaction they wanted. So Aubrey then consults with Jungle Boy. Aubrey being the referee consults with Jack Perry, Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and of course, babyface Jungle Boy still wants to have the fight despite being decimated before the match.
He's a big old idiot.
And the match starts. Christian spears him immediately for a near fall, and then we get a kill switch, and it's over in, I think it was less than a minute or around a minute. Thoughts? And now we know why. Why is this? Why?
Because Christian too is injured, much like Mr. Punk.
Yes, Christian is injured, I think requiring surgery, so he'll be out for a while. So what did you think of the match? I mean, what can you say? It was more of an angle again.
The beatdown was pretty cool.
Yes, it was.
Match was 2 finishers.
Yeah, I know. So what can you say? And again, we suspected that Luchasaurus might play into this for Christian because if you pay attention in all of the lead up to this, he never put his hands on Christian the entire time, right? So this still wasn't what I expected. And I don't know how I feel about it. AEW seems to be using pay-per-view matches to further feuds tonight rather than end them. And sometimes in small doses, because sometimes that can leave fans feeling shortchanged, right? Like you paid to watch this pay-per-view to see a resolution to things, and you're not getting that. But as long as you get a resolution to some things, I think you're okay, right? So with only 4 pay-per-views, I would prefer they use TV time to build and pay-per-views to finish feuds.
Depends on the feud.
I don't mind it sprinkled in, so it didn't bother me too much. We then get the Best Friends and Death Triangle interact backstage, and it leads to a trios match being made for Dynamite, which would turn out to have
an important match that would
turn out to have a lot more stakes than they thought at this point, right? Because this is before the Punk madness. So
before he even won the title.
So this match ended up being for the trios championships. Anyways, we then get the Jericho Danielson package ahead of their match. And I'd forgotten about this in the 6 days since this. So my first note is live shirtless lip syncing ? For Danielson's entrance.
All right.
Remember the dude who's like
at first it looked like
kind of skinny jacked, but why are you have your shirt off?
Elliot Taylor or whatever.
It didn't fit for me with Danielson's like.
It's because it's the song.
The song and just he looks like the singer of a boy band, right?
He looks like Machine Gun Kelly.
It doesn't fit Danielson's aesthetic to me, so I didn't like it.
Sounded good, but
he just looked weird without a why are you not wearing a shirt, dude? I don't understand.
There are times where I thought he was lip syncing, and there's times where I thought he wasn't lip syncing.
That's why I put ? I'm not confident,
and I was confused more than anything.
Right. But anyway,
so that was something.
Who cares? Mat work to start.
Hero, like Dragon Slayer, I guess, because Garcia also got one.
Right.
Not on the show, but the next show.
Right. Mat work to start. Danielson asks the crowd if they want entertainment and then starts swiveling his hips like he's Rick Rude in a little sort of out-of-character moment for him. We get a strike exchange that's won by Jericho. He hits a backbreaker and a back suplex before mugging for the crowd himself a little bit. We get some taunting slaps, but they just fire up Danielson. He catches Jericho with a kick to the midsection as Jericho comes off the ropes to the floor. Danielson's then in control with a bunch more kicks. Jericho eventually counters a Frankensteiner into the walls of Jericho. Suicide dive through the corner by Danielson. Lion Salt gets countered into a label lock. We get a pile driver. Counters lead to Jericho hitting a tombstone. Then a Lion Salt for 2. Wrist control head stomps transitioned into the label lock by Danielson. A submission exchange then sort of follows that. We get a code breaker ? I don't know, it must have been sloppy. That's usually why I put a ? I don't remember. For 2, and in my notes, Jericho looks winded here. Lion Tamer by Jericho before a German and some elbows. With Psycho Knee out of nowhere, and then cattle mutilation. The 12-6 elbows rain down, and then cattle mutilation again before some more
12-6
kicks, like the ones that are straight down.
Hammer and anvil.
Yeah, like from 12 to 6. 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
What?
Those names are interchangeable.
Why would you call it that?
Because that's what some people call it.
When?
It's like it indicate it's going straight down.
Wait, who's called it that?
I've heard that called that many times.
When?
You can look it up at some point if you
it's like.
like.
Saying rewound is weird.
But it's right. As we've proven, it's not
12
wrong.
12 to 6 is not.
You can look it up. See if I'm wrong. You can fact check.
They never call it that.
Who's they?
Commentary.
So
I've
heard other people call it that. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're dwelling on something that I'm not wrong about, but it's fine.
Yes.
Jericho low blow, Judas effect, and it's over after 24 minutes. And Garcia is shown looking disappointed backstage that Jericho had to cheat to win this. I think it was a mule kick, right? A mule kick low blow. And then, so that match is over. What did you think of this one?
I thought it was solid. Never like super invested in a Jericho match, if I'm being honest. But I thought it was pretty solid. I think Danielson brings out better than that. Honestly, I don't really care that he's doing Lionheart tonight. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty interchangeable. Other than
I don't notice a ton.
He's wearing yellow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like I don't notice a ton of difference between his characters.
I thought it was pretty solid. Like it was technically proficient or it was good wrestling.
It was one of those like technical, steady but not fast pace. I would suggest,
not like
right?
exciting, but like solid and entertaining enough.
And again, different from pretty much everything else on the card to this point, and it got a lot of time. I would suggest they could have shaved a couple minutes off this. I don't think it needed to be 24 minutes, but I appreciate the lack of interference too, considering each man is part of a larger group, right? So it was nice that there wasn't a lot of interference here. I don't think Danielson's capable of having a bad match. I thought Jericho looked pretty good, trying to work a more technical style, I guess. And I guess at the end of the day, the story here, and it makes sense, is that Jericho can hang with Danielson, but he can't beat him without taking a shortcut, right? And that disappoints Garcia, and we'll see where that goes from there. I thought it was a good match, even almost very good, but could have been a few minutes shorter, probably, I would say. We then get a Darby Allin and House of Black vignette ahead of their match, which is another one that kind of surprised me a little bit, but House of Black taking on Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro. So Miro starts out aggressively attacking Malachi Black here, and then Miro is reluctant to tag out, and he's actually at one point walks away from Darby's outstretched hand because he's just kind of the added to this group. He's not really affiliated with Sting and Darby Allin, right? So he's not so thrilled to be working with them, I don't think. Miro catches Buddy Matthews twice coming off the ropes, hitting different power moves to him. Darby finally tags himself in, and he and Buddy have a pretty fun sequence kind of in the middle of this one. Brody then gets in and he ragdolls Darby for a while. The chemistry between those two guys is awesome. Just something just works for me, right? Before chopping him to the floor from the top rope. The House of Black then isolate Darby Allin. Buddy just kills him with a great looking pop-up knee here. I'm noticing at this point there's not a lot of crowd energy, which I was a little bit surprised. And then this is where Jack gets thrilled. Sting comes in, dominates Brody King, and he's even in my notes. Sting in, he dominates King and Buddy, and Jack is annoyed.
So stupid. Sting
rolls Buddy into his own corner because he wants him to tag out because Sting wants to face Malachi Black. So he does, Sting first gets to no-sell Buddy Matthews' boot and then holds on to his deathlock on Black while, so he's got Malachi Black in the Scorpion deathlock, right? And Buddy's kicking him in the face and Sting just no-sells it. Sting fights out of a 3-on-1, right? And I groan here. So I'm usually the one going, you know what? It's not that bad. They've actually presented Sting pretty well. I'll be more on your team when we talk about this. Scorpion death drop, coffin drop, but Buddy breaks up the pinfall attempt. Julia Hart looks like a little girl in a witch costume. That's a random. I forgot to even put that in there. Very random note from me, but she did. Black Mass countered with some mist from Sting. So he's cheating to win here, I guess, right? And we got a Last Supper by Darby Allin, and this match is over in 12 minutes. Well, I mean...
This is weird because I'm going to say it's like... This feels like one of those trios matches we only get on pay-per-views, but that doesn't belong on a pay-per-view. Like, so yeah, it's like when Sting and Darby teamed with Takagi.
Yeah.
Like...
There was very little Miro in this match.
You could have this on Dynamite too, but when does Sting and Darby really wrestle on Dynamite together?
They save Sting for stuff like this,
right? So it feels like a trios match you only get on pay-per-views, but that doesn't belong on a pay-per-view. It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view match.
If the reports are true that Malachi Black is unhappy with his booking, this will not help that situation, right? the House of Black, I think they just continue to look kind of weak, right?
They have so much. They could be awesome.
They get beaten cleanly by a group that was thrown together with one member in his 60s. And so in this match, many of the things that you hate about Sting also bothered me here, right? Like this whole, he's dominating multiple people who are supposed to be killers. He's no-selling things. Like just, it doesn't make House of Black look good, right? And they should be, because they are super cool. But I don't disagree with Malachi Black. They're not that I think that means he should like quit or anything.
I don't want him to leave.
But I don't think this match had enough Miro for me. It didn't have enough Brody King for my taste either. I thought Miro especially was not really dealt with.
Well, and if Malachi Black is gone, which I think he is now, what does Miro do?
And as you pointed out, right, that's maybe last week, why is your cohesive group of 3 losing to a group that's thrown together, incling
I lost a pick here because it makes sense for House of Black to win here.
And what did I say? Sting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I thought this match was fine, but nothing more, right? Should have been better.
It was alright, I guess. I didn't really love it.
I know. So, anyways, Garcia then talks, and he has a Pure Rules championship match against Yuta coming up on Dynamite. Then we get a Punk Mox video package, and then we get our main event, which is CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the AEW
CM Chump
for the World Championship.
Skunk.
So we get middle fingers and sitting cross-legged from Moxley as he's sort of taunting CM Punk here.
Maybe he's taunting Malachi
And
Black.
we get dueling chants in Punk's hometown, right? So that's interesting. The crowd is not, completely behind Punk here. We get an early roundhouse.
As we'll also see post-match.
Right. We get an early roundhouse by Punk, 2 high knees as well. GTS for a near fall about a minute into this one. Then we're to the outside for some brawling through the crowd, and I have yawn because it's never my favorite thing because nothing ever happens.
I forgot it even happened.
Punch, punch, punch. Mox is run into the ring steps. Then Punk's run into the post, and he is now bleeding. Mox continues the assault on the floor, and Punk is just a bloody mess by the end of that. Mox targets the wound with elbow strikes, as you would. We get a high knee by Punk in the corner, but Mox counters the Bulldog into a shin breaker and starts to focus on CM Punk's legs. STF by Mox while grinding his forearm onto Punk's head wound. Punk, or Pink, as my notes say, escape with an eye gouge.
CM
Pink. Mox back to the bad leg with a figure 4. And Punk is defiant and is flipping off Mox here. Pile driver by Mox for 2. Mox gets dropped arm first on the apron, and that sort of shifts the momentum back to Punk here. Mox gets posted. Punk stomps Mox, locks in the Anaconda Vice. We get a Punk elbow drop countered by Mox into a chokehold. Punk escapes the Bulldog choke, but Mox applies an ankle lock instead. German to Punk. Mox then flips off the crowd. Each sort of tease their finisher, but we end up with a strike exchange instead. Swinging neckbreaker by Punk, but Mox blocks the GTS and hits the Death Rider for a near fall here. Bulldog, as Jack I'm sure was very hopeful that it would be an actual fall.
Yep.
Bulldog choke again by Moxley. Punk rolls through, hits the GTS. Mox collapses on Punk's back. A second GTS as a credit to Mox, I guess. He needed to take 2. But the match is over. CM Punk wins. He's the champion for a little while at least. This match went about 19 minutes. As we fade to black, we hear a phone message, right? Begging someone to show up at All Out. And I think it was Tony Khan calling MJF, right? And sort of begging him to come back.
Which I love that because it just made it it was just really cool.
And then it cuts to a brief classic CM Punk clip, right? And then the masked dude who won the ladder match reveals himself. Surprise, surprise. It is MJF. And the crowd is actually cheering for MJF, right? At this point.
Yep.
So I thought this was a very strong main event, and it did feel like a big, important match. I liked the viciousness of Moxley, and he dominated a lot of this. And then it was just the story of kind of Punk hanging on and finding a way to win as expected. I thought it was a hard-fought match with Mox needing 2 consecutive finishers, so they're sort of protecting Moxley a little bit here. Lots of blood, lots of drama. Not the result I wanted, because even ahead of this, I think Mox just has had a great run, and he deserves more. He's moving into my Wrestler of the Year category, too, if I'm being honest with you. Not my favorite match on the show, but I thought a very good main event to finish off this show. the MJF return made sense, was also pretty obvious, but I still enjoyed the way all of it was handled. So I thought it was a good main event, not amazing. I would say my two favorite matches on this were the Trios and the Tag Team Championship, and then this is somewhere behind that. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree. It definitely has the big fight feel, which is always good. It's a little short for a main event, I thought. Like, most pay-per-view. Like, if it's a TV main event, I kind of get it.
Yeah, considering Jericho got 5 more minutes than this, right?
Yeah.
In his Danielson match.
It is weird. Obvious result, not the one I wanted, not the one I picked, because I'm an idiot.
Because you went with logic, right? How dare you?
Yeah. No, I'm more so. I lean too heavy on what I wanted because
That's true. You
both
went with your
picks,
heart. Sorry,
both picks can be logical.
Yeah, you're right.
I really hope Moxley wins the tournament. Because he deserves so much. It's weird. Like they count him as having 3 reigns. I'd say he's had 2, but we'll say sure, 3-time champion already. Whatever. And I still think he deserves more. I just think like his run this year has been really good, and I think he can kind of lead them out of the darkness like he once did.
Yeah,
because he was the main champion during the pandemic. Omega kind of picked up slack in later pandemic. So, but Mox was like he was the champion through the hard times, like mid 2020. Like
he's the dude you can count on, man. He's always gonna be there.
And like I think it'd be cool if like someone like Danielson maybe won. But I think Mox should get one more run. And I think like with all like the controversy that's going on, I think AEW just needs some stability.
Agreed.
And I think Moxley is that.
He is.
And then MJF can come by eventually because I think he's also. I think even if Moxley holds it for like another month and then drops it to MJF, I think it would be short, but I think that'd be okay.
Yeah. Overall, I thought this was a good pay-per-view, but not one of AEW's best.
That's exactly what I was thinking because like I think like you had a lot of short matches and like some good ones like Punk, Moxley, and like I like Jericho, Danielson, no, but like they were good, but I would like them to be better.
Agree. For
the pay-per-view, I think generally they're good. I thought the trios match was awesome. Ladder match was pretty fun. And the tag title match was pretty good actually, and the women's match was solid. So like nothing was bad, but some things are too short, and then some things just like I feel like should have been a notch above.
So if you're gonna give it a letter grade before I do, see how close
on a curve of AEW pay-per-views, I'd say it's a B.
Wow,
it's like
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's an average, like
100%.
I think it wasn't bad by any means, and it beats out watching WWE pay-per-views, but
yes. So yeah, like Trios final was fantastic. Tag team match, championship, fantastic. Brian Jericho, really good. Main event, really good. But I don't like the only matches I'm like, if you didn't watch this, you need to go see are the Trios Championship and the Tag Team Championship. Those are the ones. Like, there's other good matches here, but nothing that I'm like, you should really. It's worth your time to go out and find it. And then yeah, as you said, some of the matches were surprisingly short, like Hobbs, Starks, Jungle Boy, and Jade's matches.
At least Jungle Boy had a reason.
Yeah, that's part of and sort of Hobbs Starks too, a little bit part of a larger story. So I agree 100%. This is a B pay-per-view. I don't feel like I wasted my time or my money, but I also wasn't like the fact that we waited till our weekly show to talk about it is a sign that it's not amazing, right?
Yeah.
Because when we watch one of their A pay-per-views, we're like, let's get down to the basement.
I think if you're comparing it to WWE pay-per-views, I'd give it a better grade, but on the curve of AEW pay-per-views, then
compared to themselves, yep.
Yeah,
I
which
agree.
They've set a good standard.
So a very solid pay-per-view with a couple amazing matches and pretty good top to bottom, right?
Yeah.
I would say. All right, beautiful. We'll take a break from the in-depth analysis and challenge Jack to some trivia in our weekly segment that we like to call Off the Top of His Head. So an important detail there before we start the trivia, you just told me I won the predictions of all 3 pay-per-views last weekend. What was the final tally for All Out?
On the... actually, Worlds Collide, I think we tied because we... Oh, wait. Let me check because I think we both missed.
I don't even know all the results from All Out, or from, from...
Worlds Collide,
Clash at the whatever.
We both mispicked 2. So actually, no, we tied on Worlds Collide, which is funny, 3-3. And then All Out, you won by 1, and Clash of Castle, you won by 2.
Huh. I'm good. I'm big brain, apparently. All right, so this is from No DQ. They put up a new trivia segment, or whatever thing. So we're going to talk about some of their questions that I like. Some of them I don't like. So let's see what you know. Which WWE female star made her debut on Raw the night before WrestleMania 30?
Night before?
Yes. So on Raw, night before.
What?
Oh, sorry, night after. Sorry, night after.
Paige.
It's a big difference. Paige is correct. Very good. Sorry. What was the name of Daniel Bryan and Kane's anger management therapist?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Shelby.
And he did a great job, actually. He was, like, beloved at that point. He did such a good job. Who did Bart Gunn knock out to win the 1998 Brawl for All? I got this wrong.
Wasn't it Bradshaw?
It was Bradshaw. I got it wrong because the more memorable one.
Dr. Death?
Correct. So I thought it was
I remember that, but I knew that wasn't the...
No.
I remember watching Dark Side of the Ring.
And then they put him in like
against Butterbean.
They tried to murder him by putting him in with Butterbean, basically. Like, you're gonna get killed by a legitimate, even though it's Butterbean. Like, he's still a legit boxer, right? It's like, this is what he does for a living. Anyways, I don't know why you'd know this. Which city hosted WrestleMania 8?
I don't know.
Okay. Your options: Los Angeles, Indianapolis, Las Vegas, New York.
Los Angeles, I guess.
No, you don't know anything.
Indianapolis,
correct.
That's what I was gonna say.
What wild animal did Scott Steiner bring to the ring during an October 2000 edition of Nitro?
A dog-faced gremlin?
No. Do you want options if you got?
Sure.
Snake, alligator, tiger, bear. I didn't remember this.
Snake?
No.
Alligator?
No, I
Bear.
believe it was a tiger. It's a tiger.
What are you bringing?
I don't remember that, and I've watched the 2000 stuff over again just because it's so awful, and I don't remember that. What was the name of Dean Ambrose's potted plant?
Mitch.
Correct. I remembered that one.
Yeah, I remember that because he had the asylum match.
Which wrestler, I remember this from back in the day too, was the recipient of the Jesse the Body Award? If I have options if you want. Rick Rude, Hercules, Randy Savage, Uncle Elmer.
Uncle Elmer.
No.
Rick Rude.
Correct, because obviously going to be a heel, right? Who did Jushin Thunder Liger defeat at 2015
Tyler Breeze.
TakeOver? Tyler Breeze is correct. Who was the 10th entrant in the 2017 Royal Rumble?
Ty Dillinger.
Correct. I knew that one too. I'm like, what a weird question. I'm like, oh, obviously.
It's supposed to be 2018 too, but then Zayn attacked him and took his spot.
Right. What type of match did Austin and The Undertaker have at 1999 Fully Loaded?
Oh, First Blood.
Wow, why would you know that?
2K16 Showcase.
Okay, I thought for sure you'd need the options on that one. Who did Bret Hart defeat to win the 93 King of the Ring? I don't know this
Bigelow.
one. He is one of the options, and you are correct.
Yeah, I think he beat Perfect, Razor Ramon, Bigelow.
This one I know you know. Who did Jericho defeat to become the first AEW champion?
My boy, Hangman.
Correct. Which wrestler, I don't know why you'd know this, but you might, made a cameo appearance on the TV show Married with Children?
I don't even know what that is.
Would it help you to tell you that the family name of the main family on the show were the Bundys?
Oh, it's King Kong Bundy.
It is
really?
King Kong Bundy, yeah. Which future WWE champion appeared in a skit where he kissed the $1 Million Man's feet as a kid?
Oh, RVD.
Correct. That's pretty crazy, actually, that's a true thing. I actually knew this one. Who was the first person to use what would become Kurt Angle's theme song?
Patriot.
Correct. I didn't think you'd know that one. I was hoping to get you on that one. Who did the ring announcements for 2008 Royal Rumble? Options? The Fink, Lillian Garcia, Michael Buffer, Bruce Buffer.
Fink?
No. It's one of the Buffers, because they're the ones that are, let's get ready to rumble.
I don't know who
Michael Buffer.
I hardly know her.
Famous. Who did Andre the Giant eliminate last to win the WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal? Ooh, that's hard.
Oh, was it Bret Hart?
He's one of the options. You are correct.
I remember getting that wrong before.
So it's come up before?
I think so.
That's a hard one. You want to try it? According to Spotify, what's the official name of Razor Ramon's theme song? You want options?
Yeah.
Or do you know?
I should know, but...
They're all possible. Scarface, Machismo, Bad Guy, Bad Boy.
Machismo.
It is Bad Boy, which is weird because he's
bad
the bad guy. Interesting. What was the first ECW pay-per-view not to be held in Philadelphia? So when they finally got out of Philly. Barely Legal, Heat Wave, Hardcore Heaven, November to Remember.
Heat Wave.
Heat Wave is wrong. Hardcore Heaven 97.
You're wrong.
You're wrong. Who did Eddie Guerrero wrestle in his final televised WWE match? That's a good question.
Batista.
Wow. Oh, it was one of the options, but you're wrong.
Kurt Angle.
Mr. Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Good luck getting that. I saw footage of him
that sounds right.
recently for some reason. Back when he was in OVW, he was like jacked. Because when he was on main roster, he was like...
average.
Yeah, like in shape, but not crazy fit. But apparently he was then. Let's see if there's any. Well, a couple more maybe. Who did Hulk Hogan face on the very first Saturday Night Main Event in 1985?
Andre? Wait, no.
Not one of the
That
options.
was in the first one.
You want options?
Wait, Orndorff?
Well, he is one of the options, but it was Bob Orton.
Damn you, Bob Orton.
Damn you, Bob Orton. What was the official match time for Goldberg-Lesnar 2016 Survivor Series?
Oh, wasn't it like a minute, 26
I have options.
seconds?
Oh, that is one of the options. You are correct. Wow.
That was in Toronto, too.
That's a detail. What was the name of the first pay-per-view produced under the WWE name? Not WWF. I have options if you'd like.
Was it SummerSlam?
Not one of the options. Your options are Mania, Backlash, Judgment Day, King of the Ring. And not the Judgment Day. Just Judgment Day.
Oh, wait, you're telling me Damian Priest and Finn Balor weren't there?
They were not there.
Okay. Good to know, because that'll narrow it down for me.
Right.
I'll say Backlash.
Judgment Day.
Damn it, I was gonna say that.
All right, last one. What was the name of the pay-per-view where Chris Jericho defeated Austin and The Rock
Vengeance
on the same night to become world champion?
On the same night?
Same night. Vengeance is correct. You know stuff about stuff. All right, well, wraps up trivia. Let's move back into getting far too in-depth about some wrestling as we take a look at this week's episode of AEW Dynamite.
We start off with a rare TV appearance from Tony Khan himself.
Yes. And again,
Big TK.
How many weeks in a row is no match the opener? 4 now?
It's been a month at least.
I think you're right.
Yeah, and we get we start with the promo after this, so it's like doubly true, even if we didn't get this.
But this is understandable. Like, this had to be addressed right out of the gate, right? There's no denying that this needed to be probably
here's
the
the
first.
gist, folks.
Give me the gist of this.
So Tony's gonna say
in his awkward
saying
promo
that.
style.
I'm gonna say I said that. All right.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. World title and trios titles vacated. Trios champs crowned tonight. Death Triangle versus Best Friends. Can't wait to see Orange Cassidy with the belt.
So a match that already existed now for championships.
Yeppers.
Yes. What did I say about Yeppers?
Yeesh.
Yeesh.
AEW World Champion will be crowned at Diamond Grand Slam, aka the Stadium Show, a quote Grand Slam tournament of champions to be held in the coming weeks, with the finals at said Grand Slam.
Right.
Hangman versus Dance in the first round, with the winner facing Jericho as a bye, so next week.
Right.
And Darby Allin versus Sam McFarland on Rampage, with the winner facing Mox on next week's Rampage. Because he has a bye too. So that sucks that Mox is on Rampage, because I don't want to have to put in work to watch stuff.
I found it interesting that they went with first round buys instead of adding a couple
for
more
Jericho,
people.
it makes a little more sense because
maybe
he
they just
won, and Mox is, I guess, like he just lost.
Well, I think they probably started with the end in mind and went, okay, we want this to culminate at whatever show that is.
I think you kind of need to fast track it, right?
Right,
so,
and we only have so much time. We can fit these matches in.
So I thought this was an interesting start to show. So much for the trio titles being made for the Elite. That's like 3 days. So
yeah,
I'm sure they'll get him back eventually, which is fine by me. And it's clearly going to be Death Triangle's time tonight. And if it couldn't be the Elite, I'm glad they get it. My boy Penta gets an accolade and Pac 2 belts. I saw someone call him 2-Pac.
Nice. We both automatically assumed
that was pretty
Death
funny.
Triangle wins.
It's an easy pick.
Yeah.
Our World Title Tournament is more interesting. It's odd with the buys, but I guess it has to kind of be short with the Stadium Show. Not too far away, you got to fast track to that, which I understand.
Yep.
So I call it Danielson beats Hangman, has a rematch with Jericho, which Danielson wins, so he's on that final. And then on the other side of things, we have Darby Allin beat Sammy Guevara, which I'm wrong about. Guevara has won.
Oh, really?
But I know that surprised me.
We'll watch that later.
Then Allin would have a rematch with Mox. Did some good ones back long ago in 2020 when Mox was champion.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mox wins that, so Mox can still win. My prediction still kind of tracks. And we have a Blackpool Comic Club face-off in the finals. Mox Danson with a different dynamic, because last time they faced off, it was before Blackpool Comic Club.
True.
So to kind of set out Blackpool Comic Club.
Take my money.
And I think Mox gets the title one more time. I think he deserved the title win at All Out.
I think Danielson
in the summer. Mox, and I think he should get a little more, as he definitely deserved it way more than that ass clown Punk did. I would love for my boy Hangman to win it all as a big suck it to Punk, but I don't think so. Well, I think Mox will win it. Just because, like I said, he can bring stability for a bit, and then I think whoever wins the title drops it to MJF regardless. So I think you throw Mox, and MJF has history with Mox. Yep. MJF's never really crossed paths with Danielson, and I don't think we really need. honestly, and I think Danielson could be champion, but I don't think like for his first title run he wanted to be like for a month, because I think in all likelihood MJF wins. He's not losing his title match, right? So I don't think Danielson is gonna win it and drop it to MJF.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I would say Danielson's a more likely pick.
So obviously Tony had to come out and do this, but the super awkward thing is when he throws back to commentary, and commentary have to transition out of this somehow without acknowledging basically that the owner of the company just announced that he's stripping the highest profile champions you have of all of their belts, right? So it's like they flip back to him and they can't make reference to that. So there's just like, oh, we're going to make history and what a big show that'll be. So I just found it awkward. It put commentary in this awkward spot of like, don't go into details about why this happened. Don't even mention it, right? They're just focusing on this is going to lead to some big matches, not the fact that the owner of the company has just stripped everybody of their belts, right? So it was kind of an awkward transition, I thought, for commentary to try and a weird spot for them to be in, like, don't talk about how we got here, basically, right?
What do you think about all
the tournament and stuff? I think it's fine. I think it'll set up some fun matches. I'm a sucker for tournaments, right? I say it all the time. So, yes, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be MJF, which is why they didn't put him in this tournament, I think, right? Because they have plans for him to take this championship at a later date. So, could be Danielson, could be Mox. I don't know who will win. I hope it's Danielson. I just would love to see him get a title run. But I do like what you're saying about if Mox wins it, it's probably a bit easier to flip it on to MJF because Mox has had title runs already.
And I feel like Flogo is usually in November, so that gives Mox a decent stretch of time.
And I'm not super worried about MJF and Danielson not having a ton of history because MJF, he can build.
I think it would be good. It's just I think a Mox match is, I think that works better.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I don't want them to flip it off of Danielson just like that.
Right.
And I also don't want MJF to lose.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think he will.
So, I think
makes sense.
Mox wins it, MJF takes it. Yep.
Speaking of MJF,
we'll hear from MJF right now. He's kind of baby facing his entrance. He's got stuff. He's got like jersey.
Yeah. Oh, he was wearing a Josh Allen jersey in Buffalo, right? I believe
Buffalo.
It was. Yeah, so he's doing all like the standard baby face stuff.
Mm-hmm. He says the devil is back, and he asks who's excited to see MJF, and he says last time he was around, he may have said some offensive things, and the crowd's chanting, "You were right."
Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
He says he thinks we can all agree he was kidding, and he loves AEW and won't leave.
Okay,
he says when he called the fans all stupid marks, he was kidding. I thought the fans there would be no MJF. He talks about the title being vacated, and he talks about they're holding a tournament. He deserves a shot, but he won't do the tournament because he won the ladder match, and he doesn't need it. And he says he's also getting paid a boatload of money. I thought the way he said that was funny.
Yeah.
He says, you may think we're in dark times, but we just need leadership. And there's once a wise Jewish man with this A name starting with M, but he walked into the promised land, and he's not saying he's Moses. He's saying he's better than Moses. And he'll win the title because he's better than you, and you know it. I've noted very babyface promo. It's odd, but also not the first time he's done that.
And you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, right? At this point, yeah.
Mox comes out, and Mox says MJF is full of crap, and MJF asks if Mox thinks he's not being sincere, and he rips on the fans in that statement as real MJF returns. He says he doesn't know if Mox is woozy after going to sleep. Maybe Mox is right, and maybe he doesn't care about AEW's fans, and maybe he only sees the AEW title as a bargaining chip, and maybe he takes the title to a real wrestling company with real fans and real stars, like its good friend Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
And maybe he gets to work for a real boss.
Ooh.
And maybe he plays the game.
Oh.
And
I see what you did there.
He quotes Triple H and says that's what's best for business.
Yep.
Got him again.
Mm-hmm.
Mox says this is not the time and the place, and he is in no mood. He says MJF needs to leave right now, or he'll make him leave. MJF does the thing where he looks like he's gonna fight, takes his shirt off, blah blah blah, and then he leaves the ring. And Mox says his music sucks, by the way, as he's walking off.
Yep.
So now we got a bit of a Moxley promo. He says he's pissed off and he's embarrassed. He's pissed off by many things, but mainly that he is standing here without the AEW title. He says the title is just a physical piece, but what it means, something to him is what it represents, and passion for the sport and this business and everyone in the back and the fans. He says the letters on the title mean heroes that worked through the pandemic when we needed heroes, and the dream when AEW started. 'Twas him. He was champion of the dark times.
Yep.
He says the title means being better than the day before, no matter how small a difference. It means slaying demons and representing everything he loves about the business. He brings up the tournament champions, and he runs down the field. He pretty much praises everyone. Typical Mox faction.
That's right.
Or fashion. He says it's a hell of a shot to try and win, but he says winners always want the ball when the game's on the line, and he wants the ball. He'll take the shot. He says it isn't just time to win, it's time to be a legend. Mic drop.
Yes. I was really relieved when heel MJF kicked in because the babyface version wasn't working, although you're like positive he's not staying that way, right?
It's working because it doesn't work.
Because you know it's transparent, yes.
Right. So it's it's funny because even if like the fans know it's fake, they're just like, he gets them to play along anyway, so it's good either way.
But again, like I found it strange because he makes no reference to the group or their actions at the pay-per-view.
It's a little weird.
Which were a heel group and heel actions, and now you're coming out as a babyface and making no reference to them. I guess just because
he likes to mess with the fans.
So a little disconnected here with the... But we're going to see it at the end, that the group doesn't acknowledge MJF later, so I'm not quite sure what's going on.
They kind of got cut off,
but it could be just like they're massively having to rewrite stories right now, right? Because 4 of their main guys are out for however long. So yeah, I liked both of the promos. Once MJF kicked into being heel, it got a lot better. Mox, and again, all of this is making Mox look great to me, right? He's the guy that's always there. He's the guy that loves this company and loves this championship, and you can tell that he's not just saying it, right? Like he does. He puts people over in the ring. He puts people over in promos. He puts out consistently good matches, and he creates no drama. I told you this at the time, and I mean this as a compliment. He is their John Cena, right? He's like their Tanahashi. He's their ace. He's the guy that you can count on. You can either book him to be the champion, or if you need him in a pinch, you can quickly heat him up, right? He's always going to be there and do the right thing and be a professional. So I think he's coming out of this smelling like a rose, as CM Punk looks like a petulant toddler in all of this, right? We're seeing what an actual adult does who's a professional in his field, how you carry yourself, and how you're trying to bring everybody up, right? Like high tide raises all boats, right? Like if everybody gets better, the product gets better. And I don't think Punk's interested in that at all. Punk's interested in Punk, right? So the more this drama goes on, the more I'm on Team Moxley. So I quite like this, right? I found commentary were a bit annoying here because they were trying so hard to make Mox's promo seem even like iconic and super important. I think they're like overcompensating for all of the recent turmoil with Punk and all of that situation. So I don't think commentary did it any favors by trying to make it seem more important than it was. But I thought it was a good segment to start the show. Again, I'm getting a bit nervous about this month straight of promos first, but they've all been pretty good. So.
It's been good. Yeah. I can't complain.
I can't either.
Man, did I miss MJF? It was pretty great. I mean, the whole babyface fake thing is always amusing. The Tony Khan bit was fine, but we definitely need a mood lifter after that because Punk just is angering.
Yes.
MJ pretending to be babyface again, amusing. Went on for a decent little bit until Mox came out, so it was a little confusing. Once the real MJF came out again, it was really nice to have him back. He's so good. He's so amazing, especially with a mic. He's just amazing.
He's just so reliable, right?
Yeah, I love MJF. He's so
he's always gonna get my interest talking.
Yeah,
every time.
I did miss him a lot. Again, another guy I miss more than Punk.
Yep, me too.
Once MJF was gone, though, I was surprised Mox still went on, but not complaining because that was also great. Because another good Mox promo, I like the passion behind it, and like when he's talking about like the pandemic stuff and whatnot, again, it feels like it's coming from a real place. Which
he's basically
very
going,
real.
I'm the anti-Punk, right? I felt like that's what this promo was. Like, he's not going to call Punk out because he is a professional. But he's going to say, here's what I'm about, right? And it's the opposite of what that guy's about. It's an easy contrast right
Exactly,
now.
Yes. And like I liked everything he was saying. It's all so much changing at once. It's almost too much. Like, it's just like in like a span of a few days, just this entire status quo has changed.
Yep.
But this gets me more invested in the tournament a bit. Kind of fun to know whoever wins has MJF waiting for them because with these teasing Mox versus MJF, it further enforces my belief in the prediction.
Yeah.
And because these guys had a solid match back in the day at All Out 2020. So
yeah, they would have another one, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. It was funny. I remember seeing like before MJF returned his. Cause there was that picture a while ago. Remember when he like just beat the crap out of Mox that one time? He was wearing like a white tank top.
Yeah.
And he raised the title.
Yeah.
So someone edited a picture where he's holding that title, and like in his hand is the other AEW title. Cause back when Mox had 2 titles.
Right.
And they edited Punk laying down in the background. So like, fantasizing MJF returning after the first match, I guess.
Nice.
So that was funny. Next we go to Death Triangle versus Best Friends for the vacant AEW World Trios Championships. I saw someone like a picture of like a white silhouette with all the titles in there. It's like Vacant's got a lot of titles again.
Vacant is dominating.
Yeah. Notables was Death Triangle versus Best Friends. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I said vacant titles, and then I don't remember what
I think you did. But it is Death Triangle Best Friends.
Yep. And Pac's already got a belt.
Mm-hmm. He does.
So, might get 2.
Maybe.
Best Friends launch Orange Cassidy for Topi died to Death Triangle. Another one, Cassidy got a hot tag from Trent Beretta and hits Lucha Bros with a double hurricane, but Pac cuts him off with a back elbow and stomps him in the corner. Danhausen tries to curse Pac, but it's pulled out by Alex Abrahantes. Danhausen nutsies him, which is me saying he punched him in the balls.
He did.
AKA a nutsy.
Yeah.
That's fun to say. And then Pac argues with him, and then pump kicks Danhausen. Tilt-a-roll DDT by Cassie spikes Pac for 2.
Oh, Pac sold it like an absolute champ.
Chuck Taylor hot tag flurry, and later on Best Friends hit that eat defeat half-and-half suplex that I really like.
Yeah, me too.
There's a frenzy of offense where just everyone's hitting something to somebody.
Yes.
Love that. Trent Beretta goes for a Deadeye. I thought they called it Strong Zero, but I think that's the tag team version.
Yeah, this is
and then they called it the Crunchy, but then I was like, nope, Deadeye.
Because I remember they called it. I picked it up Crunchy. I think from the crazy match with Santana and Ortiz.
Parking lot brawl?
Yes. I think that's when I first heard them. It was a Crunchy on the car. I think that's when I first heard them call it that.
I thought it was Strong Zero, but I think that's the one where like Chuck also like kind of stomps on him.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure. Because I know there is Strong Zero as one of them. But so Trent Beretta goes for Deadeye, but he takes a double super kick from Pac and Penta, so that knocks him right into a Code Red from Phoenix for 2. So that was a really nice sequence. And then Trent Beretta does hit a Deadeye to Phoenix later on for 2, while Chuck also hit an Awful Waffle in the corner,
which I
so that was cool.
Yeah.
Death Triangle hit Stereo super kicks to Best Friends, and then Stereo Destroyers.
Yeah, triple Destroyers. That was cool.
Mm-hmm. And the finish comes in Lucha Bros hit Chuck with the foot stomp package pile driver. Which is always awesome.
It is.
And they take out Cassie and Trent Beretta with dives, and then Pac hits Chuck with the Black Arrow to secure the win.
Beautiful Black Arrow.
So, yep.
Yeah, so what we expected, right? So for me, there was a little bit too much silliness in the beginning with Danhausen and Orange Cassidy. That's a lot of comedy for me. But once they got that out of the way, and they got it out of the way early, this match just kept getting better and better for me. Crazy action, again, in these trios matches. Some cool, like, not even tandem moves, but like simultaneous moves, right? Like things happening at the same time to multiple people. Exactly pretty much what I expected with the outcome I also expected. And like, what a luxury to have a team like Death Triangle just waiting as a backup plan, right?
Waiting in the wings.
For when things go wrong like this, because they're fantastic. So again, I say it, I love this division. I've loved the vast majority of matches. This is just another example of a really entertaining trios match that this company has the market cornered on right now. So I thought this was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like this a lot. Great TV match. I'm enjoying the whole trios hell scenario very much, and at this point with the tournament and all, and this one too. Not as good as anything that we watched in the tournament, but that shouldn't discredit it. It was pretty good. Still, I liked it. Sequence where everyone's hitting something is always crazy. It's a double super kick into the Code Red was really smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Pac took some of Cassie's moves really well. Best Friends coming out this looking pretty good actually, and I thought it was a pretty great win for Death Triangle. If the Elite had to get stripped, I'm happy the titles go to Death Triangle because that's a pretty good consolation.
I agree.
If not now, it would be inevitable. I didn't see Pac with 2 titles out, which I need to see, and I have seen.
He looks great.
Nice. Yeah, I love when people
put out some kind of funny tweet about it too that made me laugh.
What?
I can't remember what it was, but he was like insulting his fans during the tweet, right? Basically, because he's a bastard. Yeah,
yeah. I like when people got more than one belt.
Yep,
it's funny.
It's cool.
And,
2-pack.
2-pack, and he's the first AEW double champion.
Yep, that's correct. He is.
Yeah.
I saw that as well.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, FTR do that, but it's not AEW belts.
Correct.
And I don't know if anyone actually has done that. Interim doesn't really count. That's
No.
more like a unification
I think he's
deal.
the first.
That's what they're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like they put out a cool graphic too.
Nice.
Next we get Dark Order interview, and they got like new masks. Evil Uno's looking like, remember I said the mayor from Nightmare Before Christmas?
Right. Yes.
And Ten's mask looks really weird. It reminds me a little bit of Slapjack.
Yes, which is not a good thing.
No. Jose interrupts and puts out a contract saying Andrade sent him to get 10 to sign it. Uno says no again to Dark Order forever, and Sil says his last name is the assistant and tells him to get out and shoves him. That was really funny.
Yeah, just his delivery is funny, right?
Then Rush and Andrade come in. Andrade threatens them with a crutch again, which would be funny if he just like wailed on him again, and he'll get what he wants. And so says the only thing he'll get is these fists. When he said, "You want to get these hands?"
Right. He's back.
I know. Red pants. Yeah. And Rush is like, "You want to fight?" And so I was like, "Yeah, I do." And then Andrade holds him off. It was pretty short, so it was solid. Andrade's still after 10, so it's kind of weird, but it's fine.
Kind of makes sense because 10 is like, he seems like he's, I don't know, the least fitting member of Dark Order. So I get that they go out because he's big, strong guy. I guess this gives Andrade and Rush something to do. I just wish they had something bigger to do, right? Like, because I think they're awesome and a cool little partnership.
Yeah.
So messing around with the Dark Order isn't exactly a top spot on the card, but I guess it gives them something to do for now, so I'm fine with it.
I like Silver's line a lot. That was funny.
Yeah, Silver's funny, man. He's a funny guy. So yeah, this was a fine segment.
Mm-hmm. There's a recap of the interim women's title match at All Out, and then after we see like a backstage bit where Baker's trying to apologize to Hater, but she's just like walking by angrily, and she's just kind of like walking up, trying like telling Baker not to talk to her. So this is fine, starting the dissension more.
Right, just a quick way to further that story. It was good.
Yep. And then we get our only women's match of the night.
In the Britt Baker spot.
No Britt Baker.
Weird.
Toni Storm versus Penelope Ford. AEW Interim Women's World Championship Eliminator match, which is weird. She still got the super bad gimmick, but Kip Sabian doesn't.
And and they're still together, like, on the show as well.
Yeah, Kip Sabian came out with her.
Yeah.
Box and all, which I think would be a funny Halloween costume. If I can acquire a suit and pants, I will do that.
All right.
I would love to do that, because then I get to wear a cardboard box on my head.
Right.
And
you can fulfill your lifelong dream of wearing a cardboard box on your head.
On my head, which I've never had the opportunity to do before.
Well, you take your cue from the cat. She loves a good cardboard box, you know? She's been modeling it for you forever.
And well, I just need like the right box, like, you know, like one that you would naturally put on your head.
Right.
And then like depending on how I play, I could no one would notice it's me.
Correct.
Even better.
Which is your dream.
Yeah,
stealth mode.
Yeah, stealth mode, exactly. Nice. I don't know how to get a suit, but we'll see. Because I'm sure there's a costume
day. Not paying for a suit for you to wear for Halloween, I'll tell you that much.
Oh.
But you could think about someone to borrow from, maybe.
Halloween costume or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Depends. Maybe I think I need a red one.
You go to the thrift store and see.
Thrift store.
What they've got.
Anyways. Ford avoids the hip tack by going to the outside, and then Storm hits a basement drop kick. Then when she goes outside, Ford sends her in steel stairs. Later on, corner uppercut by Storm, and then hip attack. And the pendulum DDT by Storm, a crappy one at that.
It looked like she laid her down to take a nap. Like, it was so gentle that it was a bit jarring that it generated a pinfall.
Bad.
Yeah, the match was fine at best, and the finish was less than that, because it honestly, like, I don't know, man. I feel like the ref should have leaned in and been like, you need to do that again, because that looked super, like, not painful, not enough to pin. Like, it doesn't make Penelope Ford look good that that kept her down, right? So, again, like, I don't know, man. This women's division, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know, but this is, like, all we get on this show, and it wasn't very good. And it was Penelope Ford, who we haven't seen in forever. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing, but it's not good. So, anyways, your thoughts?
Yeah, this was not great. It was pretty short. Only had like 2 notables. There were a few things that were like pretty sloppy, like another corner move, a boot Storm tried to hit. Finisher looked really bad too. The weird thing is, I'm not really blaming Storm that much though. I think she's not the best, but I think she's pretty good when she's got a quality opponent, which clearly Ford is not. So I don't think Ford is that great, because I don't blame Storm that much here, because I think like when she's facing Baker, I think she's pretty good. So I think like it's not entirely her fault, which is weird.
But a little bit. I think they kind of both of them require somebody to bring them up a notch, right?
Obvious outcome, this was not great.
No.
Next we had 2.0 promo, also with Hook and whatever his name is. There's like, I didn't really take notes on this. It was fine.
Oh, the guy, sorry, the other guy, right? Yeah, he actually sounded pretty good for what they asked him to do, right? It's funny because Coots texted me, a buddy of mine, and he doesn't watch wrestling, but he knows we love it and do the pod. I think he might listen to the pod every now and then. But he sent a picture of, what's his name, Action Bronson, and said, like, hey, I saw that one of the rappers I really like was actually on their show. How did he do? And I said, actually, for what he was asked to do, he did a pretty good job, right? Like, he did a lot better than many non-wrestling people do, cutting a promo and in a brief physicality, right? So,
yeah,
I don't really care about the feud at all. I like the segment. I thought 2.0 sounded great. And
they always do a good job with that.
Action Bronson,
Menard sounds good.
He does. Action Bronson sounded pretty natural, I thought, actually. Right. Yeah.
Next we get the Acclaimed. Swerve cuts off their entrance with his, which is pretty good heel heat considering.
Right. He is leaning into
rap.
He'll be so cool as a heel if they let him run with it.
Mm-hmm. He says, sorry, Buffalo, and asks if they were here to hear. Two different hears.
Right.
Here to hear more corny rap jokes from the Acclaimed. He says he has a joke for everyone. He says the Acclaimed is AEW tag champs, which actually made me laugh because that was funny.
Yeah.
Not because, like, well, yeah, but, like, also just because it was funny that he said that.
Yeah.
It was just funny.
Okay.
Billy Gunn says it's not Swerve's house, it's Daddy Ass's house.
Such a weird thing to hear you say, more so than him.
Oh, yeah.
Daddy Ass's house.
Yeah.
Nice.
House of Ass.
Yep.
With Daddy Ass.
The feud, the House of Black.
Yeah, House of Ass.
You know House of Ass will win because House of Black don't.
Yep.
So.
And the ass always wins.
That's right.
Instead of the house.
Mm-hmm.
The ass always wins. Bowen says because of the fans at Grand Slam, they'll get a rematch. And they will take home gold because everyone loves the Acclaimed. I read that weird where it was like the fans at because of the fans at Grand Slam. Instead of the fans, because of the fans at Grand Slam, they'll get a touch. I'm dumb.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like it's kind of cool that I feel like literally a crowd, right? A super hot crowd in Chicago has made stars out of the Acclaimed and heels out of Swerve and probably Lee, at least Swerve, right? So that's kind of impressive that the fans had that big of a role in that because I'm not sure if that was the plan going in, right? I don't know, but the fans made it happen, which is really cool. And I love this All Out match, as we talked about earlier. So I'm all for a rematch between these two. I don't know if they can live up to the first match, but the Acclaimed are now red hot. And I think the heel turn's going to help Swerve, especially because he can be a really cool heel, right? So I thought there was just a really good energy to this segment overall. And they need to strike with the Acclaimed while they're hot. I don't know if that means give them the titles or what, but they just got elevated, so what are you going to do now that they are elevated, right? I'm interested to see where
I don't think they should win. I think you can keep them at this level now.
Me too.
I think it should be FTR, and I love the Acclaim, but I just don't like. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I know it's solid, but it's short. The only thing is like I want. It's kind of funny. Like I wonder what would the Acclaimed have done if they weren't interrupted, like a match or just like rap. Like,
I was just, like, a little bit annoyed that we didn't get a caster rap. Like I get that it's good heel heat, but I feel like I was deprived of something I enjoy. Yeah.
Me too. They capitalized on the all-out crowd reaction here, which was smart. I forgot Swerve works really well as a heel.
He does.
That's what really got me to love him.
Yes.
Was turning heel and cool. Forming Hit Row.
Yes.
Yeah, he is really cool, and I forgot that.
Yeah.
It's been a while. This was solid. Next we get a Jazz interview with a collection of dumb names. Well, actually, Guevara and Jericho normally. You got Ty Mello, which just sounds bad.
But they didn't call her that.
Ty Conti, which I like better.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just used to it. I just think it sounds better.
I think Tony just forgot, probably.
I think Ty Mello is just weird.
I don't know. It's just
it
not
sounds
what
like
I'm
a crappy rap name.
And it just seems weird because her initial name was Conti, and now she married Guevara, so she's changing her name, but not to Guevara, to some third name. I get that. I
know
it's
her
real
social
name,
media name reads like. I think her thing's still Ty Conti, but like you can put your real name in your bio.
Yeah.
I think it's Tainara Mello Guevara.
Yeah.
I want to say.
That sounds right. Anyways.
I forgot she was Tainara Conti way back.
Yeah.
Then you got Anna Jas.
And what's happened to her? Because remember when she finished up NXT, we thought she was getting better. She was in AEW at the beginning. We're like, wow, she's actually really good now. And now it's kind of like she's just drifting, right? I don't know.
When she was babyface, I thought she was much better.
She was starting to string together some cool matches too. I don't know. I don't know what
think
happened.
she should have gone with Guevara.
Yeah, maybe.
Cause between the heel turn not working out, between all the Men of the Year crap.
Because we thought she was at like perfect level for TBS championship, right? Like she's not quite like
like a year ago,
top of the card, but she's like almost there, and she's having good matches, And then
just over a year ago, she was like facing Baker, and it was solid.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
what a difference a year makes, I guess.
We're avoiding this segment.
Yeah. Jericho says his win was a gigantic win. He is better than ever. Talks about some founding youth crap that I don't care about. He says he beat Danielson at his own game. He's the best wrestler and the best sports entertainer. He says he'll win his 8th title, and it's his title. So world titles, he's won the WCW title, I think twice, or WCW title, undisputed title, WWE, world heavyweight title, world heavyweight title.
Fact checking them.
Heavyweight title
in real time here.
AEW title, it's 6. 7th, I guess maybe another WCW one. So I guess you could justify this being the 8th.
Probably.
He says Samuel will beat Darby on Rampage. Indeed. He says Darby's turtle-loving ass will get beat on Friday. Does he love turtles?
I guess.
Random.
News to me.
Jericho says Garcia has a match tonight. He knows he'll win, but he has ditched them, so he has to do it alone. Yada yada yada. This was fine. The whole Fountain of Youth thing was Other than that, it's fine. The Guevara was solid. Last line was weird. It was like, oh, we're so sexy, and
yeah,
that was lame.
This for me, I had very little notes other than this was too long. I don't care about Jericho Appreciation Society. Jericho had a couple amusing parts, but I just don't care about this group. I don't get it, and it was too long.
Wardlow TNT title open challenge against Tony Nese. He hits a headbutt. He does that wind up clothesline. He does. It's kind of weird how he does it.
And he jiggles Wardlow's pecs before it starts for some reason, like implying you're not in like tight enough shape, which I thought was interesting. But anyways.
And then Wardlow has 3 power bombs. That's it.
Yeah, I don't.
And then there was he had a bit of a promo after.
He did.
Just saying, like, people saying he's lost 6. I guess he's been, like, a little less prominent, but he's still the TNT champion. Or I wrote champions.
Right.
And it's time he reminds everyone this is Wardlow's world. Just another squash match. Like, what else do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Not much here. The post-match promo was quick and basic, but it was solid. Like, I guess, like,
I had standard
bringing Wardlow back in the spotlight a bit.
Yeah, standard fired up big man promo is what I had, right? Yeah, this is what it was, but I don't know why it had to be Nese. He's trying to like get a tag team with Josh Woods off the ground, and I don't know why he needed to be the one to take this beating. Not even that I'm
weirder now they're setting up Josh Woods and Samoa Joe.
Not even that I'm a big like Nese defender, but I thought maybe Woods would end up being the next challenger for Wardlow then, which would be kind of interesting. But like, I want to ask you,
our Woods is going for Samoa Joe.
Is it just me, or is Wardlow like pretty boring since the MJF angle ended?
Yep.
Right? Like,
it's just like, that's what I'm saying. Like, TNT title's in a bit of a lull.
And we talked about they kind of booked themselves into this corner where he has to win dominantly, like virtually every time. Who was it had a competitive match? Cassidy, right? Which was a good match, but like, you've created this monster where how does he lose and who does he lose to, right? So I don't know. It was fine, I guess, but Wardlow's the bloom's off the rose a little bit. The whole build with MJF was great. The payoff was great. And since then, it's just kind of, he's not doing much for me at all, really.
Yeah, it's not really connecting for me. And like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And it's just like another, and I like the title, so I wish they would.
And to me, that should be like the working title, right? Like that can be like your Intercontinental title, not your power guy squashes people title. It's just not what I want from that title.
No, because then like the Atlantic title hasn't been defended a lot. Like I think the first time it was defended in AEW was the Kip Sabian match.
I think it's almost like the whole purpose of that title is to be defended on like indie shows in other promotions,
which is lame.
Which to me that's fine because there's enough championships for AEW TV already, so it doesn't bother me that much.
2 mid-card titles though, which I think it might be. That's because also Pac might have already been on Excursions. Now Pac is back, so
yeah. My dream would just be the North Americans on like a guy that can really wrestle, and it's open challenge if you want to do that, and he's having like
North American
good TV, or sorry, the TNT. That he's just having regular good TV matches would be my thought, but to make it more like the TV title back in the day. But anyways, that's me.
Which they also defend on pay-per-view sometimes, which I like, because I don't like that strictly TV title, because then you get, and same for the TBS title, like it was on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Whether it should have been or not.
I mean, pay-per-view is technically on TV.
That's true.
All right, what's next?
I guess that's why can't be on pay-per-views then. I guess that's a good point.
Right. Okay, move on. What are we doing here?
Next thing, Darby Allin promo. He says he and Guevara been competing ever since they came to AEW. They both won the TNT title. Mm-hmm.
True.
Sammy had 2 TNT
I actually
titles.
appreciate these recaps. With my bad memory, I'm like, oh, thank you. That's right.
They faced off. It's funny. In total, including this match, they've had 4 matches in AEW. Mm-hmm. 2 of them tournament, 2 of them non-tournament. 'Cause they actually competed in the inaugural TNT tournament.
Right. True fact.
I think that was when they back. Right, I remember now. Remember when they were in like the really small area for a while?
Yes.
And remember, I think in their match, like Darby Allin dived on him onto like a ladder, but it was like a real ladder,
yes.
So it didn't break.
Right. I do remember that.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
And then they faced off a Revolution, and then I don't remember.
Okay, focus, man. Back to the show.
Oh, when Guevara was TNT champion recently.
Yeah. Sure.
This year.
I believe you.
Yeah, because he had the 2 belts. He says, and at one point, he would have called Sammy a friend, but now he doesn't even respect him. And says he won't bring out Sting, tells Sammy not to bring anyone either, to prove that they don't need anyone to win. He'll do the same.
Yeah, I like the recap of their similar paths in AEW, and then I liked that they had footage playing in the background as he was talking. And I thought Darby sounded a lot more comfortable than he did when this company started, right? Because it was kind of like, yeesh, we need to have him in those silent sort of stylish little set videos and things. But now he can talk. I don't think he or Sammy have much a shot at winning this tournament, but the match could be pretty good, I guess. So yeah, I thought this was good. I enjoyed it. You?
I'm surprised Guevara won.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. Mm-hmm. Although Darby's one of those guys that doesn't need to win a lot, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I would say he's more likely to face Mox, so.
Yeah.
So, that's all promo from Darby. I like them highlighting all the history. It should be a good one on Rampage, which also is Claudio versus Dax. So Rampage seems like a watch this week, which is weird.
Yes, we will check it out. We haven't yet, but we will.
Yeah, at some point.
Next
we get Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page, which is the first round match in the tournament.
Right.
Wild card round. I still don't get it.
I don't know.
Why is it called wild card round?
Because I don't know.
There's literally no wild cards.
They're all wild cards, I would suggest. Because there was no like qualifying; they were just picked and put in there.
Yeah, but it's like the wild card round was like when John Morrison and Maki Ito were. Remember there was a surprise entrance in the Owen Hart thing?
Yeah.
That was wild card.
Who cares? Moving on.
Some holds and counters. Chop exchange, but then Danielson picks the ankle and does like a surfboard, but instead of doing like the stretch, he just like stomps the legs.
Mm-hmm.
Corner chops and kicks with Danielson. They're on the outside, and Danielson puts him in a hammerlock and sends him in the ring post shoulder first.
Yep.
Follow-away slam by Hangman, then kip up, slingshot punch to the outside. Multiple corner drop kicks by Danielson. Hangman tries to counter with a pop-up powerbomb, but Danielson counters that with the Hurricane Rana. Yes kicks from Danielson. Later on, avalanche moonsault follow-away slam by Hangman for 2. Pop-up Liger bomb by Hangman for 2. Yes kicks in the corner and basement dropkick by Danielson with all with Hangman in the Tree of Woe. Danielson goes for an avalanche back suplex. Hangman flips out. Danielson hits a rolling elbow, but Hangman connects with a lariat for 2. Strike exchange with a lot of rolling elbows. Hangman avoids the Psycho knee and hits a Deadeye for 2. Hangman misses a moonsault from the top, and Danielson connects with the knee, but knocks Hangman in the rope, so he rolls out. Danielson goes for a suicide dive, but Hangman catches him, hits a powerbomb on the apron, then the Orihara moonsault to the outside, and then later on he goes for Danielson avoids the buckshot, counters with an O'Connor roll, and Danielson picks up the win.
Yeah, really good match, but I mean, how could it not be with these two guys? I still think these two are capable of even better than this. This is really good. I think they're capable of like something fantastic. A little bit of a slower pace than a lot of AEW matches, but there was a lot of physicality to make up for that. Danielson's an absolute technician. Hangman is just a super athlete who can kind of do whatever you need him to do, right? But they both seemed exhausted by the end of this, which isn't a complaint. It kind of adds to matches sometimes, right? When they both look like they're just dying by the end. The crowd certainly seemed to appreciate the efforts here. A really good tournament match that's going to lead to a Danielson-Jericho rematch on Dynamite, which, to be honest, I'm not sure I need that match again so quickly, even though I like their pay-per-view match. I don't know if I need it run back right away. But again, with so many things, moving parts and shifting and people not available, they've had to kind of switch things on the fly. So I thought this was a very good match, but still maybe beneath my expectations a little bit. What did you think?
So all the matches these two have had against each other have all been on TV, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
All of them have been bangers. I'd say I think this one was the least of the three, but I think it was still pretty great.
It was.
Considering this came pretty out of the blue, it was a great TV match. I like Danielson working the shoulder the whole time for the label lock, which would have been a good payoff. But I liked him countering the buckshot. And he resort to a roll up because it makes Hangman look like he Danielson threw everything at him and kind of had to resort to a roll up in the end. I was really hoping Hangman would win because I would love nothing more than for him to win the whole thing as a big suck it to Punk.
Knew that was coming.
I can't complain too much when the guy advancing is Danielson, so it was a great match.
Yep. Loyal listeners, you're going to get probably lots of Jack venom towards CM Punk in the near future, I'm guessing. That's going to be a recurring theme here.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I support you in that, my son.
I'm not angry he tore his tricep.
I was subtly letting my opinion known on Punk, but now we can just full-blown go, I don't like the dude. I don't think he's a good person.
I don't respect him.
I think he's...
I don't like him. He's unnecessarily an ass to Hangman.
Right.
And he looks like a hobo.
Okay. All right, moving on.
And...
You hate Punk. We know.
Eat Mox for no reason.
Okay.
Oh, and Ace Steel's old.
Okay.
Jungle Boy promo next. He says the only thing Cage did was prolong the inevitable. When Cage comes back, he won't just beat him. He'll take years off his career. He says it's funny Luchasaurus used to carry him on his shoulders because Jungle Boy has been carrying his career on his back.
Ooh.
And he worked his ass off to make them champions. He says he will destroy him.
Man, when Jungle Boy picks up the intensity like he did for probably 3/4 of this, he sounded really good. And it makes me happy to say that because there are many times where he does not, right? I'm not sure what they do with Jungle Boy now, right? Because you're pausing...
Luchasaurus.
Right. So you're pausing the Christian feud for months is going to make things awkward. And yes, he can definitely deal with Luchasaurus, but how long can he keep him busy until they finally need to pay off the Christian feud, right? So yes, you're going to get Luchasaurus right away probably, but then what are you going to do to keep Jungle Boy relevant until Christian comes back, I guess is my question. But yeah, this for a Jungle Boy promo, Jack Perry promo, this was very good, I thought.
Yeah, I saw a promo from Jungle Boy. I thought this is a better one again. Him versus Luchasaurus could be cool. At least it creates something in the absence of Christian. But yeah, I guess so. Christian's out for a while, so I'm not sure what the whole plan is.
And the contrast in styles with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus could really work, right? And they have a history together, so in theory, that could be really entertaining. I'm hoping
you could prolong that decent.
You could, right? Yeah.
At least for a few months.
Yeah. You have to.
Stokely Hathaway with his guys, and Hathaway calls himself the king of the ladder matches, which is funny.
But again, minus MJF. So comes out with the new faction, but no MJF.
Yeah,
MJF made no reference to them earlier, and it's like he doesn't exist as part of this faction now, which I find, I don't know what to think about it. You know? But anyway.
I guess we'll see. He says All Out was the greatest moment of his career. A backstage guy comes out looking like a Takeshita light.
Yeah.
Saying they're low on time, and Hathaway says when he has a mic, he's got to give him the same respect he give his father. He decks the guy with the mic.
Looked good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a nice shot. And the rest of them attack him other than Morrissey, who just watches on. And then Guns hold him for a big boot from Morrissey. So it was solid. I wish we got some more of the promo before the whole beatdown angle. Maybe some sort of explanation. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
Him calling himself the king of ladder matches is pretty funny, though. The mic shot looks solid. The rest of the beatdown looks solid. I thought Morrissey kind of looked kind of cool. Just being the big guy cool coming after.
Yeah, him executing devastating power moves and stuff. Yes, him putting together a singles match that's longer than 8 minutes. Problem.
I wish Morrissey chokeslammed him though, but I guess they just did that.
Yeah. I like this. Hathaway, he got to flex his heel muscle a bit more here, right? He comes across as the leader of this group and not just the mouthpiece, whereas that's a different vibe from Jade, right? The Jade dynamic feels more like a Heyman Lesnar, where Jade's in charge and she will...
This feels like kind of a Heenan family.
Right. So I think he's great in either role, so I don't really care because I think Stokely Hathaway is just awesome. So I thought this was a fine, quick segment to show us a bit more of what this heel group is about. But again, not to bring it up again, for the second time tonight, MJF seems to be distancing himself from this group. And I am very curious as to why. They have to address this. They can't just not, you know what I mean?
Because the whole
pay-per-view came down to that. And then it's on the next TV show, there is zero reference to it. So a bit suspicious.
Yeah.
But anyways, I trust AEW going forward. So yeah, I thought this was fine. Hathaway's great.
Next day, Claudio Dax Hardware package because they got an ROH Tower match on Rampage, which would have been yesterday.
We'll check it out. I will anyways.
Claudio says, yeah, I definitely will. This
we might have
sells
time
me
tonight
on
or tomorrow.
Show, for sure.
Yeah.
Claudio says the ROH World Title has always been a workhorse title defended around the world, and it means everything. Dax says he knows he's not the favorite, but he fights with everything. He fights for his family. If he loses to Claudio, then that's Claudio taking money from his family, and you can't let that happen. I thought both of them spoke solid. I thought, especially Dax.
I just laugh because you're using the exact same words I have written down.
Yeah, Dax is definitely stronger.
Yes.
But I think both of them were good. You don't even really need a build for this. It just sounds great on paper.
It does. I had both men were solid in this brief video. I personally love Dax on the mic in general. So, yeah, this was good.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like, I don't need much build. Just these two guys are going to fight. I'm there, right?
Mm-hmm. Next we have Dan Garcia, our main event. Daniel Garcia, hometown boy, versus Wheeler Yuta for the ROH Pure Championship. Pure rules, of course. Garcia gets a live performance entrance with West Side Gun.
Sucked.
I like the Danielson one better.
I am not a rap aficionado, but I do listen to. I did not think this guy sounded. I thought he was like off time with the background track. I thought his voice wasn't particularly strong. I mean, I don't know. He was wearing a whole lot of diamonds, though. Let me tell you. But
I like the Danielson one better.
I didn't like it very much. But anyways, that's me.
So atomic drop and a step up insecure by Yuta, followed by a corner clothesline. Then diving elbow to a standing Garcia for 2.
And our judges, did you notice? For the pure rules? Yep. BJ Widmer and Jerry Lynn.
Who?
Jerry Lynn. You don't know Jerry Lynn?
I know Jerry Lynn.
Oh, BJ Widmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an old like ROH. I think he had like a devastating injury at some point and cut his career short.
I have no idea.
Yeah,
of course I know Jerry Lynn.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't think you knew Jerry Lynn. I was going to say he's
ECW champion,
he's
Ring of Honor champion.
So his matches,
light heavyweight champion.
Some of his matches, like with RVD and certain people, are incredible. He was just small, jacked dude who's just crazy.
Old.
Well, now, yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Even in Ring of Honor, he was kind of old. Like, it was weird he got the title.
Yeah.
There's a top exchange until Yuta connects with a snap suplex. Overhand chop and a back suplex by Garcia, followed by a corner clothesline, and then a back suplex and a running lariat for 2. Yuta hits consecutive German suplexes, then Garcia blocks one, hits some German suplexes of his own, then Yuta counters, hits more German suplexes, then Garcia counters, more German suplexes, and there's like a bit of standing switch stalemate where they keep switching. Then Garcia hits a form to the back and gets Yuta up for an avalanche German.
So many Germans. Yeah, he landed high on
so many
Germans. There's a high landing on the avalanche German for sure.
Garcia locks in the Dragon Tamer, but Yuta gets a rope break, it's a sharpshooter. He just gets it really deep, unlike Sting or Rock.
Super deep. Like he even kind of releases the foot from under his armpit so that he can lean back even further. I noticed it's almost like a little variation.
And it becomes a detriment a bit, too.
You're right. It leads to a counter available for Yuta, right?
Yeah, Yuta uses his punch warning. He goes for something, which Garcia counters in the Dragon Tamer. What Yuta counters into a crossface, but Garcia gets out. Yuta gets a seatbelt pin for 2. And eventually Garcia gets the Dragon Tamer deep. Eventually Yuta taps. Then you got the Code of Honor. Danielson puts the title on Garcia as a show of respect, and Jericho comes on the ramp shouting like he's all angry, like, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah.
Right. A good competitive match between 2 young stars, right, in their early 20s, I think. So just evenly matched technicians, and they told us I had forgotten too, and you were like, they fought to a draw last time, right? So another...
No, they said, like, Heyman and Danielson, they fought to a draw the first time, which they clarified, actually, thanks because I was confused, that actually the second one was Death Before Dishonor. So they must have had a match before, then that wasn't on any AEW programming.
Yeah.
Because they're referring to a first match.
Another entertaining match, right? And to me, it makes total sense to put the title on Garcia. Like, I like Wheeler Yuta, but don't you feel like, similar to Wardlow, his momentum's cooled off? Like, he was getting a lot of attention during the recruitment to the Blackpool Combat Club.
And I still think he's, like, good in that faction, but he's not, like, hot.
And they were letting him talk a little bit, right? So he's been silent lately. I think his momentum's kind of cooled off. And right now, Garcia's super hot right now, and his style, right, as a technician suits this championship for sure, and he's just higher profile right now, so it makes sense. I thought it was like a hard-fought, entertaining main event with a interesting aftermath, because I like the image of, like, Yuta sitting dejectedly in the corner right after losing the title, and a guy that's in his faction is in there congratulating Garcia and raising his hand in victory, and then you have Jericho coming down. So I thought that final like visual was pretty cool with like disappointed Yuta. Wouldn't you think that your teammate would be consoling you and not congratulating your opponent that just beat you, right? So then it adds more to that.
Yeah, and then also Jericho.
Right. So it furthers the whole Garcia like custody battle, as I would call it, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that the match and the aftermath all made sense, and it was an aftermath that wasn't like a running in brawl, right? It was something else that worked. So
story,
right,
continuing.
I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm. I think I like Danielson Hangman a little better, but that's not to knock this one. Not at all. I thought both were great matches. I think the other one was just a little better. I think just like a little better talent, and despite some being good, I think I also just slightly prefer like I prefer non-pure ones just because like it allows a little more. Before a pure match, I thought it was pretty good. Like it wasn't like overly pure, like you've said about some before.
No, it wasn't. It was rope breaks,
which is right. So like
and closed fist, right?
Yeah, but like I mean, it's like they weren't too heavy on the technical wrestling.
No.
Like they did that, which it's fine, but like they weren't overly heavy on it.
Yeah,
like,
I just don't want like all mat work and counters, right?
Right, this one like felt like largely like a normal match, which is what I'd like.
Like showcase your technical skills, but then get more into like pro wrestling to me, which is like suplexes and stuff and more high impact stuff, right? I want that combination.
The German suplex bit was a little long, but even then, Yuta does a really nice German. Actually,
he does. They talked about
Like he does do a really good.
You know who he needs to face off with then?
Pac?
Takeshita.
Ooh.
Didn't he write his masters on the German suplex?
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, Yuta does actually do a nice German suplex, which doesn't sound like it's important, but it's pretty good.
No, it looks cool.
And I like that it took Garcia Fuga as the Dragon Tamer. Couldn't get on the first row to make Yuta look good because he countered it. But it also makes Garcia look good because he forced a rope break out of Yuta.
Right.
So that kind of works nicely. Good main event. The aftermath was solid too. Great for Garcia winning the title. Makes sense.
I thought so.
Good match.
Yep. Overall, I thought another strong episode of Dynamite, despite all of the suspended talent, right? Like we're missing 4 megastars, and this show just kind of kept rolling on, right? I thought we got 3 strong matches with the trios match, Danielson Page, and the main event all being very good. We got a nice little update from MJF and his group, although separately, which I found a bit intriguing. And then a nice furthering of the Jas Danielson Garcia situation. And then we had people who aren't always great on the mic, specifically referring to Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, I thought did a very good job on this episode. So I thought this was an entertaining show, but for me, it's a notch below the top tier episode, so it's not quite A level. But again, I think
which we have been getting lately.
Yeah, so it's been it's another B plus, which I think was last week. So I think like the last 5 or 6 weeks, it's been A minus B plus. So just a really good string of entertaining Dynamites. I gave this one a B plus this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was just ultra. Like, you had some pretty good matches in here and like some better promos. I think it was really good too, but not quite A range. So I think B plus is fair.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so that's going to wrap up our Dynamite review. The only thing, I have a few high spots and rest holds we'll move into, and not too many. And then I guess we'll get out of here. So let's move into that final segment this week, which is high spots and rest holds. All right, so I have a few from NXT. Should be pretty quick though, and one from WWE, and one from a couple from pay-per-view. So let's go. First NXT rest hold that I sent you, or a link to, and made you watch while I just giggled in the background last night. It still makes me laugh. I don't know what it was that was so funny. It was her. So it was Kiana James, right? Who is, her character is, I'm like a high-powered business person. So I don't even know who is with her. Who's her little assistant in the low-cut top?
I have no idea.
Me either, but so
clearly eye candy.
It started out as the dyad, right? Giving out these stupid, that'd be a rest hold too, these stupid buttons with happy faces on them.
Oh my, I hate it.
She takes one of the buttons and then throws it in the garbage, and then like the funny part was her trying to act like she's on a conversation on her cell phone and being like, the only business words I know is annual report. So it was just so awkward and so unnatural and just made me laugh. It was like bad in the best way possible. So I recommend it, just as, even though it was terrible, I just laugh even thinking about it. So the annual report, and like business word I know.
Duncan.
Business jargon. Really uncomfort and not like giving the person on the other end of the phone time to speak either. So like a really bad, just a bad segment. It was funny. Followed up with the high spot from NXT this week, and that was actually, I was telling you, most of the in-ring action on this show was pretty good. Wesley, JD McDonough had a good match, got more time than I expected, and McDonough won with the devil inside, and yes, they did call it that, because I think you were curious, right? So, instead of calling that the devil inside, I think they're actually calling it the devil inside, you know what I mean? So it's not a pun anymore, but still. And then Roxanne and Meiko Satomura, as we talked about, had a solid match. Again, I've seen people raving about it. It wasn't that good. It was good. Much better than the average NXT women's match. Meiko won that with her Scorpion Rising kick. Nathan Fraser and Axiom had a really good match as well. Similar styles, just super quick, super athletic guys. But somewhere along the line, right, it got switched. I'm not wrong. It was promoted as a Heritage Rules, right? At one point.
I don't know. I think it was implied. I don't know if it was directly promoted as such. I think
they said it was going to be. And anyways, out of nowhere, it became a 2 out of 3 series match. So Axiom won the first match of the series with his leaping kick. But a pretty fun match. Rest hold from NXT. Cameron Grimes being an angle with Tony D'Angelo. Awful. Hate it. Poor Grimes. He does the best with whatever they give him, but they keep giving him crap. Right? So anyways. High spot, surprising for me. Something about the chemistry between Braun Breaker and Tyler Bate is working for me. I don't know what it is. They teamed up to take on Gallus in the main event. Had a little opportunity to even talk maybe a couple times on the show. Something about the two of them together worked for me. So I don't know if it's just me or if the powers that be will pick up on that and continue these guys working together. But something about it kind of worked. And then a WWE high spot from Collision at the Castle. What was out? It was
Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle. We talked about it already. Sheamus and Gunther was an awesome match. People should go check out. This is what Walter does, right? These are Walter matches.
Also, Vinci is back with here Imperium.
That's true. And if Gunther, Walter, whatever, gets to work with another guy who's willing to just work stiff, this is what you get. And Sheamus doesn't care, right? So these guys just beat the hell out of each other. Fantastic match. Loved it.
The Butch.
And it's sometimes, because Gunther ended up winning with the clothesline, right? So sometimes you're like, what? He win with it? But in a match where the punishment is so severe.
The only person I will allow to win with the clothesline is Walter.
And that's because he's just beating the hell out of you for 15 minutes.
He beat Ciampa with a chop once.
Right. To the point where one more solid move, you're done. Right, whatever it is.
He did powerbomb him twice in the match too.
Right, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't bother me because the rest of Walter's stuff, like, sure, one more solid move is going to take you out because he's beating the hell out of you for the whole match.
Just kick you in the face.
And then my last high spot from NXT Worlds Collide was the opening match between Ricochet and Carmelo Hayes. This was awesome. One of my favorite matches of the weekend, probably. Honestly felt takeover worthy, which is pretty high praise for me to say because all of the takeovers were amazing. Hayes eventually won this with a roll up. Just two super athletes, right? Just putting it all out there. Great match.
Who was called a super athlete? Oh, that was Rusev's thing.
Oh yeah, it was. I was going to say Tony Nese, but he's the premier athlete.
Yeah, it just sounded familiar.
Carmelo Hayes is a star. I don't think he needs any more time in NXT. He and Trick Williams needs more work in the ring for sure. He had a match on this show that wasn't very good, but as an act together, they are highly entertaining. And that is all I had.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Anything from you this week? No? And you said there was no updates from wrestling figures?
Not at the moment.
So that is going to bring us to the end of episode 212. I almost said nope. 112. Thank you, any listeners taking out any time from their week to listen to us talk about wrestling. It is much appreciated. We will be back here next Saturday for episode 113. I don't think there's anything in the works before that. So we hope to see you all back here, plus a few more people. Feel free to tell people about us. Like, share, subscribe. All of those things you do on all of those platforms. Do them for us. That would be amazing. We would really appreciate it. But anyways, we hope you have a great week. We hope we see you back here for episode 113 next Saturday. And until then, take care.